games as well. It's been quite a tournament.
Well, it's been a fantastic tournament, Doug, and this game is just another example of a game that's very important for both teams, as you well know.
Here's the importance of it. If Canada can defeat the United States, they will wind up in sole possession of first place. However, if the United States should defeat Canada and the other two leaders are in second-place teams, Denmark and Norway, should win their games, then we could wind up with a four-way tie for first place, and Canada would be ranked number 4.
And we'll be here all week, another week.
I think we're going to have quite a time here. Anyway, maybe we should take a look at just a couple of key shots from the Norway game that Canada played in the 7th round, because that was a vital one.
That was the big game for Al. He had just lost his previous 2 games, Doug, and he went on the ice against, in my opinion, the second-best team here, I might add.
Right.
But it was a key game for Christian and for Al, and there was some fantastic shooting, as our viewers are going to take a look at.
Well, there was the shot, the Yellow Rocks belonging to Canada. Al Hackner's final stone on the 7th end. Score tied at 3. And look at the pressure that is on Suram as he comes up to deliver his final rock.
The kind of shooting we saw the whole game. Here's a situation where Christian Suram has to draw to he has to be fully the 8-foot to through a port to save the end. The score is tied 3-3 playing the 7th. And just an example of great shooting. Both skips had a lot of pressure on them for the whole game. The tactical part of the game, the strategy was tremendous.
Okay, here he comes. Christian Suram at the far end. Vital shot.
That's right. We might make a point, too. Our viewers have probably heard us mention all week that there's a frost line, and so Christian had to go out a little bit on this shot. He had to go down that line, and it's very dangerous. He threw it perfectly, threw it right up, but it took a long time to come. You can see it holds on the line. It holds and holds, and for a moment, just for the slightest moment, it looked like it may hang out, and he may not get enough of it, but you can see he just touches it. They both roll. Norway gets the 1 point.
Yes, you can see it there as Rick Lang takes a look at it and concedes the single point to Christian Suram. Well, that was quite a game. Canada went on to win it. Now we come into the 9th and final round, the regular round. It looks as if we're into tiebreakers, but maybe we can point that out by taking a look at the leaderboard, having a look at the standings as we see them now. Canada out in front, 6-2, followed by Norway, Denmark, and the United States. Now, Norway and Denmark will be playing Switzerland and England. They're down at the bottom of the standings. The other 4 teams, Germany, Italy, Scotland, and Sweden, will each be playing the other. And so one of them is going to, or 2 of them are going to wind up with 5-4 records. There is the possibility that the United States could wind up at 5-4. Also, Norway or Denmark could wind up at 5-4. We could have 4 teams at 6-3 if the United States should beat Canada and Norway and Denmark win. So there are all kinds of combinations. The vital game this morning is the Canada-USA game.
It's a big game. Obviously, it's very, very big for the U.S. team. And Al, he has that way of going about himself. He had the bad day on Wednesday, and he regrouped himself, and he's won his last 2 games. And I look for him to beat the USA this morning. So I'm glad that you're the expert when it comes to combinations, and I don't have to figure them out.
Well, I worked it out. There are about 16 different combinations that can come up here as far as tiebreakers are concerned. But let's get into the game itself. We'll be there right after this message.
TSN is the Sports Network. Sports action on television. It's the most exciting entertainment available. And for great action sports, no one delivers like TSN, the Sports Network. Professional or amateur, we're right there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Packed with exciting action. TSN broadcasts major events you won't see on other networks. Coming in April, we'll have Major League Baseball. Watch Major League Baseball all spring and summer long here on the Sports Network. TSN will broadcast Grapefruit League, exhibition games, and regular season. We'll carry Blue Jays as well as other games from the American League. And Saturday afternoons will feature both American and National League games. And baseball is only the tip of the iceberg. TSN will continue all April with major events like USFL, 26 games in all. Golf with Dinah Shore and Masters tournaments. NBA excitement continues right through to playoff time. NASCAR with the Southern 500 and the Northwestern 400, as well as the Can-Am Series. Boxing with the next Sean O'Sullivan fight and Top Rank Boxing. Tennis with Volvo and World Cup competitions. the Boston Marathon. Only TSN has Sports Desk, our twice-nightly news report on the world of sport. All that plus much more, and that's just in April. While other networks begin running repeats, the Sports Network will be new all summer long with more baseball, more football, more golf, more tennis, more excitement. Call your cable company now and sign up with TSN by itself or with other pay services. TSN is the Sports Network.
Jay Hatt. Okay, we're all set to go for the opening rocks of the game between Canada and the United States. Ray Turnbull, let's just run down very quickly who the players are. Our viewers on the TSN network, of course, know that the Canadians have Al Hackner, Rick Lang, Ian Tetley, and Pat Perot. But from the United States, it will be Tim Wright from Wilmette, Illinois, as the skip, John Jehant at third, Jim Wilson is the second, and Russ Armstrong the lead.
Well, as we alluded to in the opening of the show, Doug, this is a very, very big game for the U.S. team. It, it can certainly put them in a favorable position, but I don't, I was very, very impressed with the way Al Hackner came off his 2 losses on Wednesday. He has that ability. You and I talked about it previously before going on the air, that something about Al Hackner really impresses you. He's able to sort of regroup himself. He lost 2 games. In no way did he fluster. In no way did he show any signs of any kinds of breakdown. It's the Al Hackner we've known over the last 10 years. He really has a terrific quality, the quality to be able to put himself together. He did it yesterday. I expect him to keep it going.
It seems that he can do it not only in the middle of a tournament, but almost in the middle of a game. You have the feeling, remember, I think it was one of those games when you interviewed him, and he said, I'm not getting the ice, I'm fighting the ice, I'm having trouble. He then turned around and literally regrouped himself within that last 5 ends. Tremendous ability of the Iceman from Thunder Bay.
Exactly. If we go back, to the, let's talk about just briefly the shot he played against Kerry Prickning when he lost a trip to the World Championship. A lot of teams would find it very tough to recover from a situation like that, but not Al Hackner, not Rick Lang. They just put themselves together and came out the next year, and he was determined to get to a World Championship, and then you know what happened from that point on.
Of course, and we're hoping that might just happen to Pat Ryan of the Otwell Curling Club in Edmonton, Alberta. He had that same problem or same difficulty. The same thing happened to him at the Labatt Brier in Moncton, and we expect that Pat will come back the way Al Hackner has. Well, we're all set to go. Canada has, well, they put down there that Canada's won the toss, but to me it looks as if the United States has won it because Pat Perot is throwing first.
You don't suppose that they've decided to throw first, do you, Doug? Won the flip? No, of course not.
But they put the little disc down there at the end that shows that Canada won the toss. So I can only assume that the scorekeeper has done this one incorrectly, and it's the USA that has won the toss indeed, and will be throwing last rock in this first end. Pat Perot throwing it right down. You can see the little red disc on ice number 1, and Pat Perot looking down at his center line delivery close to the house.
Well, the Americans have been a bit of a surprise in this tournament, Doug. They weren't expected, of course, to be one of the favorites, but they've really played well, very, very well. And their skip, Tim Wright, for example, has made some very key shots. I think you'll find them play it fairly conservatively once again in the early ends. But this is a very key game for the Americans.
Okay, gets the hit. Almost a nose hit, just rolls over to the right, does Russ Armstrong, the 22-year-old insurance broker that is playing lead for the Americans. Here comes Pat Perot, another 22-year-old, as he delivers on ice number A.
Doug, I'd like to take a moment just to talk about the front end of the Canadian team, Pat Perot and Ian Tetley. The big shot that Al Hackner made, the draw to the forefoot against Norway to win the game. Just a fabulous shot. Ian and Pat had to judge the brushing on that particular shot, and I was really impressed with their ability to be able to get on it, get off it, get on it, get off it, and judge it all the way down. You know, as a front-end curler, we know that the skip makes those shots and gets all the credit for them, but really the rushers have to put them there. I know I keep harping on that, but after the game I rushed down and to congratulate both those boys for tremendous jobs of judgment.
The interesting thing about this ice, you talked about the frost line, Ray, but that frost line has almost disappeared in the latter stages of the week. We talked with Donnie Lewis, talked with some of the players, and they said, yes, you can play that outside ice. It's a little stickier than the center, of course, but it is not nearly as bad as you find in a lot of major bonspiels. And that was because we got some drier weather here in the middle of the week, not that heavy humidity that was dumping the frost onto the ice.
Well, it disappeared a little, but honestly, Doug, all week the game has been played from the edge of the 8 foot to the from 8 foot to 8 foot. They really haven't gone to the 12 foot very much. You're right. The last 2 or 3 games we did see it a little better on the outside, or it moved out a little further. But it's raining here this morning, Doug. So we could have some little build up
toward the end. Ian Tetley down on his knees, watching intently. He wants the hit and the roll. He gets the hit, the roll over to the center. Pretty good.
They just keep impressing you. Both those boys go about their job so calmly and coolly that, at their ages, they certainly have a great future ahead of them. They're going to be around this game for a long time.
Not sure about their future, but their present is pretty darn good, too.
That's right.
Hanging out is Jim Wilson's shot. Now it begins to come over. We'll get the nose hit and roll just a little bit to the right.
The local fans got quite a thrill last night with Scotland beating Norway in that last end, Doug.
Oh, that was just, the fans went wild and this whole Kelvin Hall erupted. I think you have to say this, Ray, that the fan support here at the Kelvin Hall throughout the week has been just tremendous. We've had 2,000 Canadians over here, and believe me, they've been waving the flag. And of course, the Scots have had their flags going in the calls and running around the rink. This is a morning game, although you're seeing it in the evening. But it's the 9th round, and it's that way because we have to leave space for tiebreakers. And it looks as if we could have some tiebreakers, very definitely. Hit and roll just outside the rings. In fact, the only way we could avoid having any tiebreakers is this game. If the United States should beat Canada, and if Norway and Denmark both win their games, as most people expect them to do because they're playing the bottom place team, then you'll get into no tiebreakers at all. You'll have a 4-way tie for first place.
Well, that's certainly a possibility. The USA have shown us a lot this week, and they could certainly capable of beating Al Hackner. I really feel that Al's back on track, and when he's on track, he's tough to handle.
Okay, here it comes into the house. Will it get buried? And how far back? There you can see it. Just about a little past the back line. So Jim Wilson puts it out of play.
Well, it was a good opportunity for Tim Wright to get in behind that guard. He does have last rock, and the stone is a little bit off the center line, and they just slipped through. Those are the kind of things that I know it's only the first end, and sometimes you wonder, but we do get a chance to practice and play on the ice before the game starts. So Those are the kind of shots that you like to make. Keep the pressure on your opposition with what we call a free shot. Good chance to swing the pressure onto the Canadians. Rick Lang. Sorry, Doug.
No, I was just going to see. Let's see how Rick Lang handles his opening stone of the game.
Rick struggled on Wednesday as well when they lost those 2 games, but he's just been just tremendous. I know I had a long talk with the scorekeepers, and after a number of games, and once again he's just been outstanding.
Little tick over and a roll into the rings in the open, just inside the 12-foot for Rick Lang, as he failed to get by, squeezed by that front stone.
Perfect weight. He had the perfect weight. It just curled a little more than they expected. We can start to watch how the rocks run here. I think one of the interesting things is to watch where the broom is being put down, try and keep an eye on the weight, and at home you can get you get a feeling for the ice.
This is John Jayhunt playing at third for the Illinois team. He looks bang on target.
It's the first morning draw too, Doug, that we've had, and the ice, it's a little cooler in here than you can feel it. It's a touch cooler, so I think the ice will hold, could run a little straighter and hold a little longer through this game.
Al Hackner with the call for the outturn hit from Rick Lang. Looks as if he might get the roll, but how far? Oh, on the nose.
Good shot.
Come here. Come here. Come here. Oh, no.
Well, Tim Wright decides, should he go left or should he go right? He's called for the in-turn from Jayhunt to go around his own front stone, and there's a signal for wait. Saw the 2 fingers. That's like the baseball. Now, is this going to be the curve or the fastball coming up?
Well, this is an in-turn curve. It's a slider, that's right.
You wouldn't know that Rick Briggs Jr., our producer, would come up with that one.
That's right.
Hey, the slider winds up as a knuckle.
Let's talk about the situation. Tim took a long look at hitting off the Canadian stone, but I think he played the right shot. He decided to go in behind. He did not make it, but if he had hit the Canadian stone and hit it on the nose, then it gives Al Hackner a free shot. Those are the kind of things we talk about.
Well, he's got a couple of possibilities here. He can either use the in-turn draw behind that front red, or he can come behind his own, or he could pump his own up.
Off at all.
Or he could split.
You've got to stay on it.
Let's listen.
Those hits are going strong.
Well, they made the decision, and it looks as if it's going to be the pull in behind.
Well, he'll go behind his own, Doug. I think that once again, even though we do throw rocks on the ice, you still guess a little bit in the early ends. There's no question about it. So as opposed to going around with the in-turn, he's seen 2 stones move very quickly there. He's going to play around his own. And if it curls, then of course you can punch it up, or you split it on and maybe lie 2 off it.
Sure, if he splits it on, lies 2, then he forces
Let's take a look at Al.
States to take their 1. Okay.
I really like the way their whole team throws, mechanically strong. Good lift, good flat swing, gets the stone well out in front. He's got a great grip, 1 clean release. He uses what's called a body extension. His body comes down just as he releases. No arm movement, no arm extension.
Thoreau and Tetley scrubbing away. It's going to be the Rays into the rings. Does not get the split. Leaves the opportunity for Wright to hit and roll.
It gives Tim a little chance to get the hit and roll, but this is a good chance for us, for all of us, to watch the ice. Notice how much ice he's taking, watch how it works. This is the area where we've been having a little bit of trouble previously, but as you mentioned, Doug, the last couple of games, that frost line hasn't been as dominant. At this point earlier in the week, it was very dangerous to go out there. So we'll watch how this runs.
Tuck delivery as Tim Wright drips one down there. looks to have a good shot.
Good-looking shot is right.
Oh, very nice. Playing a little peekaboo, leaves a corner of the stone showing to Al Hackner.
Excellent shot. It makes it very difficult now. I think you'll find that Al will walk up and try and play the raised takeout. Maybe we can hear, listen in, maybe, Doug.
Well, it looks as if he is going to play the raise on his front.
I think that he really, to pick it out of there was a very, very difficult shot. I think that he maybe have a better percentage to try and run that one back. He knows the ice for sure.
Well, he has a little more spot, 2 or 3 more inches to work with on the hit, and it's obvious that's what he's playing.
It is a little bit of an indication how they just don't like to go outside. They like to stay within that sort of 1.5 or 2 feet of that center line because they're so much more confident of the ice. Big grip, good swing. Notice how he gets the rock well out in front.
Okay, playing the raise takeout. Looking good. Well, maybe not. No, it hung out, did not come over, and gives Wright the opportunity to pick up a deuce on the opening end of play. Free draw for 2 coming up. John Jahat will be holding the brush. And the sweepers, the brushers, will be Russ Armstrong the lead and Jim Wilson the second.
We really didn't know too much about this team before they came, Doug. You know, all the week got, of course, was the information that they were out of Willamette, Illinois, and that I think Soupy Campbell had been there to watch that the U.S. play down, as a matter of fact, and said they were a good team and that they were, you know, very confident and very controlled.
They beat Steve Baird in the finals of the U.S. competition. Steve had a bad game, but is here now as their coach.
They must be from Manitoba.
With that delivery. Rushing to bring it down into the rings. And he'll be there. And the United States picks up a deuce on the opening end of play to go ahead by a score of 2-0. And we'll be right back.
At Century 21 offices, we know the signs of a good neighborhood, one you can feel at home in. Ours is a big neighborhood. Over 3,000 Century 21 neighborhood professionals in more than 300 offices coast to coast are proud to wear their gold jackets. We can help you buy or sell your home across town or across Canada. We're Canada's largest real estate network. At Century 21 offices, we know the signs of a good neighborhood.
Friday night on the Sports Network. At 9, Tampa Bay takes on Memphis as our exciting coverage of USFL continues. At midnight, the latest news, scores, and updates on the TSN Sports Desk. Saturday at 1:30, the Blue Jays meet Los Angeles as our live coverage of the Grapefruit League continues. Get TSN now by itself or with other pay services. Call your cable company.
We're in the opening stages of 9th round action. Coming your way from the Kelvin Hall in Glasgow. Final round of the round robin. 1985 Air Canada Silver Broom. Canada playing the United States. The U.S. winning the toss and quickly picking up a deuce to take the initial advantage as we go into end number 2. And Pat Perreault delivering on a stone that has reached for the United States the back of the 4-foot. He's playing the hit, the out-turn hit. And it is holding out. Is he going to get it? Does get a piece of it. Rolls over to the 12-foot edge.
The thing that Al's done all week is he's played the game, you know, very similar to a number of the top Canadian, the way the number of the top Canadian teams play now. Very aggressively. He He hasn't hesitated to put up the corners, to put up the centers, to ignore stones in the house, and he's really the only team here. I'm very surprised, quite frankly, at the way Christian Sorum has played in some of his games, particularly. For example, going back to the Norwegian-Canadian game, in the extra end, Sorum elected to play his first 3 stones into the rings when he was in a steal situation where he had to steal, and he played them into the rings, hoping to get a nose hit, and then maybe freeze to them, which is, in my opinion, a little bit against the percentages. But Al knows the percentages. He knows them well, and he plays with them, and he's been very aggressive all week. Love to watch him.
Russ Armstrong has just cleared off that stone, rolled out of play, rolled out of the rings, but not out of play. It's way over by the sideboard, and probably is not going to have any effect on the end. Pat Perot now has a free draw, and Al Hackner can put it anywhere he wants. He's called for the in-turn. He wants that in-turn corner.
Pat Perot and Ian Tetley, the percentages are very high throughout the week. Pat's at 86% overall, and Ian Tetley at 84%. That's great shooting.
Matter of fact, that is the highest percentage of any front end here at the Silver Broom, and by a considerable margin. The next best lead is Mario Pulkager of Switzerland at 78%, or Lars Wernbloom and Hans Nordin of Sweden at 76%.
And you know, stats are for losers, they say, Doug, but the point here is that you have a team that's a team total of a percentage of 82 playing a team with a team total of 66. So if the overall week's play means anything, Canada should win this game, but this is a new game, and the USA is up 2-0.
Unfortunately, the Stones don't remember the stats. They've got no memory at all
they
for
sure
that
don't.
kind of thing. But it is a good indication of how well the Canadians are playing. Interesting call here that Tim Wright has ignored the corner guard and elected to go into the house to the other side.
Well, that's, you know, the 2 methods of defending against that corner guard, to run it off, of course, or to put up your own center guard. It's a little unusual to, even though you drew to the open side, to play it into the rings. It gives Al the opportunity of playing the hit and roll, and even if he doesn't get the roll, he gets the hit and stick, you'll exchange some stones. If you get one roll out, now you can duck behind the corner guard.
Whoa, whoa! Get off.
There's the hit. Is it going to roll too far? Yep.
We'll see what Tim does this time.
Looks as if he's going to go right back to the same strategy.
Here it is again. Just a little too much. He hits it a touch thicker, and it'd been a good roll. You're right, too, Doug. The ice is a touch livelier today, a little livelier on the edges. That stone, I think, would have stayed in the rings on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, Douglas.
Well, on the second draw, it would have been there in water, practically.
In the second draw, you wouldn't have been able to hit it.
That second draw was an aberration that is best forgotten, and I'm sure the players would like to forget it, but a lot of them will remember.
Well, those things happen. Let's be honest.
It's happened in many an occasion.
You bet.
The interesting thing was that how quickly ice maker Johnny Lewis was able to correct the situation.
By the fifth end, that's right.
By the fifth end, sixth end, he had that turned around. Turned off the heat in the building, opened the doors of the building, turned down the brine, and he just had a great situation going. But we're into the 9th round of play here, and all of that is way back past history. Now we got Ian Tetley.
Even a better chance for the roll, Doug, because the rock is higher. You can see it's in front of the tee line. If you can get the roll behind
the hit. Roll is still in the open.
Good shot. The thing that, once again, I hate to be repetitious, but the thing about Hackner that I really love is the fact that he really doesn't push any buttons at any time. You never see him panic. You know, we know that he came back. He's come back in a couple of games this week, and he's really a grinder.
I'm not even sure, in all the years I've watched Al Hackner, if he knows the meaning of the word panic.
No, he sure doesn't, and he never gives up. He's never out of a game.
Hi, everybody. Here we are, way up here. You can see we're at the back of the stands at the north end of the Kelvin Hall. Stands rapidly filling up, because while you are watching this in the evening, this is really morning in Glasgow.
Well, we're moving it over a little bit
each
time.
That's right. He's going to get it over there yet behind that corner.
That's right. We'll get behind that corner yet, Al says.
If mental telepathy will do it, you and I are working at it.
There's always been a little extra rivalry between these two countries, too. You know, just like they have, you know, Sweden and Norway and Switzerland and Germany have their little separate rivalries, and Canada and the USA, it's always been there. We have a lot of fun. We play in a lot of bonspils in the USA, but when they play each other at this level, there's always that little extra, get your neighbor.
From both sides.
Oh, of course from both sides.
And I'm sure that Bud Somerville and Bobby Nichols and all the rest of that gang down in the Duluth Superior region who have been with us so often here at the Silver Broom are wishing their team, Tim Wright's team from Wilmette, a lot of luck against Al Hackner. They've played Al before. We miss you here, fellas. Where does the roll go?
They want that roll.
They're getting it over there by inches, by inches.
Almost.
I'd like to get it over there by feet. Or maybe I should be into centimeters.
Maybe you should be.
It's the metric era.
They got on it early, and then they jumped off for a moment, and obviously they should have brushed it all the way, but you know, it's easy to sit up here and say that.
I don't think you've missed a shot from up here all week, Ray.
I haven't missed a shot through all our telecasts.
Well, maybe one. Oh, nice stone. It's interesting how they started, how Tim Wright started over there on the right-hand side, almost at the tee line, and then up in front, and now they've worked it, and they're getting it over there.
We've gone back on the clock. We started at the 2 o'clock, and we've moved right across to the 11 o'clock. And for those viewers sitting at home at the 12, of course, at the top of the circles.
Be kind of nice to get that in about 10:30, says Rick Lang.
This is the kind of thing he does so well. You know, Terry Bronson and I sat and talked about it yesterday. He has what Curtis referred to as a touch. A soft
Squeezes
touch.
by. Look at that. He does get a little more of a roll. Just keeps adding the pressure, shot by shot. You have it's like the thumb screw. You keep turning it a quarter turn each time. Look at this.
Viewers can see, he just gets by the front one and gets a little bit of an inside roll. What this does, of course, it really takes the inside roll away from the Americans. They can only see 3/4 of the stone. We can get a good shot of it now, a good picture of it now. It's half buried, actually, Doug. It's funny when you go to look at the monitor in that situation, you lean over. I don't know if it really helps me any.
That's body English, or maybe here in Glasgow, it's body Scotch.
What time in the morning is it?
Tim Wright. Sort of uncoils this delivery. Wilson and Armstrong, is he going to get by? Oh, what a shot.
I think he actually touched the front one. I think it looks to me like he just raised the front one. If we get a chance to see that again.
My eyesight is not that good. I thought he got by, but no matter what, he
Well,
made
let's watch
the
it here.
shot. Here
Just
it
take a
is.
watch here.
I think there was butter on the edge of that rock. A little bit of grease. I don't think he touched. Doesn't matter.
Well,
he made the shot.
you're older and wiser, so I'll certainly concede to that. Still an opportunity for the roll here. They know the ice well here, so and they're brushing this all the way. They've never got on it right away and stayed right on it.
Now, has he got the roll?
No.
They've judged it. No, he's on the nose.
Well, they left it halfway down, or 3/4 way down, because they could see there was no roll possibility, so obviously they'll try and roll it away from the guard at that point.
For those viewers who have just joined us, this is 9th round action of the 1985 World Curling Championship from Glasgow, Scotland. The vital game that could determine whether there are going to be tiebreakers required or whether we wind up in a 4-way tie for first place, or a 2-way or 3-way or whatever. There are all kinds of possibilities open to us at this point. They all hinge on this game between the United States and Canada. If Canada wins this game, it will solidify its hold all alone in first place. Hit by Tim Wright, rolls it out of the rings and out of play.
Well, just going to throw this through, of course.
If the United States should win this game, and if Norway and Denmark win their games against the two bottom teams, England and Switzerland, then we could wind up with a four-way tie for first place. And as I look quickly across the boards, I don't think Denmark is in too much trouble. They picked up a 5 on the first end against England. That's 5-0.
You know, Denmark has really played well. Once again, in talking to the official scorekeepers, all the guys, we've been together a couple of nights now for dinner, they think that Guthler has been the best overall shooter all week. His skipping, his strategy does leave a little bit to be desired, but from an actual shooting point of view, he's really played well.
Okay, at the end of 2 ends of play, the score remains 2-0 for the United States. We'll be back after this message.
Fly me high through the starry skies, maybe to an astral plane. Ooh, dream weaver, I believe you can get me through the night.
The 85 Nissan 300 ZX.
Rage emotion from Nissan.
Off to put out another fire, Griswold?
Well, Chief, I found that
I assume you called first?
Right, flight's booked.
Oh?
Car's rented.
Oh?
Got the best room in town.
I see.
And Max has reserved my usual table.
And?
And then I called our customer and straightened out the whole mess by long distance.
Stick around, Griswold. You'll go far.
Business long distance. Today's way to operate.
It's the Maple Leaf against the Stars and Stripes. 9th round action of the 1985 World Curling Championship. One rock has already been delivered by the United States into the rings, and Pat Perot goes after it.
I think, though, Doug, he's going to play the corner guard. This is the kind of thing I was talking about earlier, that the thing that Al Hackner does very, very well. He has that ability to know how to, to go onto the offense, and this is another illustration. He's done this quite often throughout the week. He's ignoring a rock at the top of the forefoot and playing up the long corner guard. He'll force the USA to make a decision. Do I run off the corner guard? Do I split the corner guard? Do I play the guard? And try and steal a point, and that's exactly what why you do this kind of a thing, to get rocks in play, to get rocks in front, and it's early in the end, and this is the kind of thing that one of the reasons why you just love to watch this Al Hackner play.
Russell Armstrong has been asked by Tim Wright to play the guard on his shot stone in the 8-foot.
Now you have to remember here. Now your lead man, the U.S. lead man, is throwing, and he's throwing up a guard. In other words, he's putting another rock in front. You don't want to miss this guard.
We'll see if he makes it. Out-turn draw.
One thing for sure we know in this end, there's going to be some rocks in play.
I have the feeling there will be no blank end on this occasion. This one is not coming across. It is not coming over to cover. And now, in effect, Hackner has got 2 corner guards, and what an opportunity for him.
But this is the kind of thing that we're talking about. You have to have the stomach, we say, to ignore a stone like that in the forefoot and put up your corner guard, forcing your opposition to make a decision. Al's done that. Now he's in a position to he's got 2 corner guards. That was a very bad miss. You're better off almost to have missed it on the other side, or at least come into the rings with it and force Hackner to play in the rings with you. But this way now he has 2 corner guards up, and a great opportunity, and you have a curler like Pat Perot, who's curling at 97% throwing the stone. You're in a good position.
Perot comes out there looking like a hawk, just ready to pounce.
Well, he's just a good young curler.
He's going to get the hit. No roll.
But the end is set up well. You can see the weight indication for, our viewers can see the weight indication. Each team will have a different, way of
signaling,
communicating the weight from member to member. These are things you work on in your practice sessions.
Jim Wilson.
Good clean delivery, a little high.
And it's hanging out there. Now it begins to come across that center line. They hold on to it. He's going to be on the nose. And every time that stays there, Hackner has a little better idea of what ice he should be giving to try and get that roll. And if he ever gets one in behind there with last rock advantage, he could be in a good spot.
Well, it's a game of getting. Sometimes you get the little things. Wednesday was a good example of a day where Al just didn't get the little rolls and little rubs and so on. As a result, he lost 2 curling games, and he never gave up. He fought all day, got himself back into both games, but just couldn't finish them. It's the team that gets these little, makes this little roll, gets a little roll here that ultimately will end up with a victory.
Here comes Ian Tetley. He's hoping to hit and roll to the right. He's going to get the roll out the other side. But he does change the ice, and he forces Tim Wright to go from outside in. Here it is again. There it goes.
It's a good shot, Doug, as you mentioned. It's a brand new stone over here. You're once again, you're out on the edge a little bit, and we've mentioned that it's not quite as difficult this morning, but still it's a wide shot, and we just haven't been playing out in these areas.
A lot of action on the rocks. They're very live. Ice is good. Here is Wilson's out turn. They call him off now. It's drifting. He's lost his turn. Oh, trouble city.
Well, it definitely drifted. You may be right, Doug. It may have lost its turn, but for sure it started to drift, and that's what happens. There's a fine line out there, and we've seen it a couple times. We saw it happen to Scotland.
Well, I'm wondering if it might not have caught something.
It may have.
Now, let's see if we can see it there. Well, you can certainly see it's gone on to the other turn.
Yeah, it's
and it may have caught a little piece of straw or fluff from the corn brooms. Anyway, it has given Al Hackner an opportunity to bury one behind the corner.
Why did you say corn brooms? You're always picking on the poor corn brooms. There's not even a corn broom on that sheet of ice.
Oh, well, there's one there in the skip's hand. He may have dropped one out there somewhere.
Couldn't it have been a little hair or something?
A little hair of the brush that bit you, eh?
They'll take this right back as far as they can. I'm sure they would have preferred to have had it up on top a little bit. It just wasn't curling early enough. This does give the Americans an opportunity to hit and roll in front of it.
Or the double.
That's right. If you hit it thin enough, the double's there.
Did he just touch his nose? Did he signal he wanted that hit on the nose? John Jahant is the thrower.
In turn. He'd like the roll here. Not that much, though.
Not that much is right. Right out of the rings. So Hackner has another chance.
Here's an interesting situation for, for all of us watching this, is where you become the armchair quarterback, so to speak, is that you could obviously go in behind the U.S. stone in lie 2, but I think that you'll find that Al may go in behind his own long guard in front of the now shot stone. If he can get it half in behind, he can guard the back shot as well as, be half covered.
Well, you saw the signal there from Rick Lang saying, you want me to come in there? And obviously then saying, yeah, that's what we're going to do. So it's going to be the out-turn draw, hopefully behind the Canadian corner guard to the left of your screen at the bottom.
There's the call. Now, this is the kind of shot that, mentally you don't want to miss in your head. In other words, even if it's short, Doug, even if it's 6 or 7 inches in front of the rings, it's fine. It covers the back stone. You want to get it half behind the guard if you can, or a corner behind the guard, in front of that.
Oh, look at that. Look at that stone.
We'll probably see it at a better angle here. You can see that's the kind of thing that Rick Lang just does over and over and over, repeatedly, game after game after game. And I mentioned to you in our last telecast that the best explanation of Al Hackner's team is that I heard made was that you go out there against Hackner, you play the best game of your life. You look up at the scoreboard in the ninth inning, and you're one down, and it's a fantastic explanation of how this guy plays.
And it's a reason why Rick Lang is shooting at 89% at the present time, as we have a look at the computer screen that tells us the scoring instantaneously on each of the players.
We might mention also that Computerland have provided us with all the monitors and all the computers for this event, and it's really fantastic to be able to have this kind of a setup, right at your fingertips, Doug.
Certainly is. Good hit there by John Jahan of the United States, but it is available.
Well, it's an interesting call for Al, isn't it? Even Mr. Hackner's thinking this one over. He's line shot rock. You hate to make a shot for your opposition, of course. At this point, you could go to the other side.
If he goes to the other side, he could leave himself open to the double ball.
Yes, he could.
It looks as if he's just going to try and ease this one back as Rick Lang looks at it.
I think what he'll do, Doug, is trying to hit it on the outside and roll in behind the corner guard on the other side. You play it quietly, though. That's exactly right.
Perot and Tetley bend to their work. It's swinging over. It's swinging. What's it going to do? Clear off the back one and roll out the shooter. The shooter stays.
Just, that's where those half inches make the big difference. He's a half inch away from a perfect shot.
Here it is again. Tetley and Perot look up to get an action on it. Onto the American stone. Ticks the Canadian shot rock. Rolls both of them out. Shooter stays for one. Nothing need be said. I think she's had a pretty hard week.
Wake me up in the eighth inning. I'll catch those last two ends. That's called Silver Broom Fever.
That's where the picture says more than 10,000 words. Of course, the social side of the Silver Broom has always been one of its attractions, and there is a fair amount of midnight oil burned in these late-night study sessions as the fans go over the statistics.
Up by the new Moose, boy, in bed last night, 11:15, fresh and bright this morning.
Here it comes. He will not get the roll to the left. He gets the roll to the right. And out to the side, leaving Hackner the decision whether he wants to go for it or whether he just wants to play the draw in behind one of the corners. He puts it into the 8-foot. He'll have the shot rock. He does have last rock advantage on this, the third end of play.
Well, you can see the ice he's going to take on this shot. He'll take it right on the edge of the stone, actually inside the stone. And there's no question he'll keep his weight up for this shot.
He'd like to get the hit in the inside roll.
He sure would. There it is again. You can see the ice he's giving for this shot. You can see how straight they'll run on those edges.
Al Hackner shooting at 60%. His hits, he has been 100%.
Tim Wright's shooting at 93, and that's the big difference so far in this game.
Right up. Right up.
Gets the hit. Out of the rings.
Well, it gives Tim Wright an opportunity not only for a free draw, so he gets, and that's the kind of thing we all like. You can see it again here. Just comes a little too much. I don't think Al threw quite as much weight as he intended to, because he gave a weight signal as he went down the ice, and I think he was going to throw a little bit more weight than that, and it just curled a bit on him. But just to go back to my thought, Doug, is that this gives Tim Wright the opportunity to, every skip, especially the skips, love to get through the early ends, one or two free draws, really to get the feel, to get the touch, because ultimately inevitably you're going to have to draw either to save an end or to get the extra point. So it's sure nice to have him, to be in this position to get what we refer to once again as a free shot.
You're looking at Tim Wright, a 27-year-old computer programmer and analyst from Wilmette, Illinois. Skipping the U.S. team, first team ever from Illinois to represent the United States in the Silver Broom. There's a skip's eye view of the action. Not a brush being laid to it. That's the reason why it just gets to the back 12 foot. And Wright says, well, I'm not too happy with that. At least it's in the rings.
Well, we just can't see how it is in relationship to the guards. Well, now we can. That's a good shot of it. There's no question now I would like to play it and try and blank the end. The same token, you really can't afford to be giving away another point. So he'll play this cautiously. You can see that you can only see the corner of it. There's a long, there's quite a bit of room past the long guard, but
a little too much weight and it might just drift out.
And how many times have you seen that in the many, many, many years that you've been following curling?
So you didn't need to say 3 of those many. 2 would have been sufficient.
Well, I know how long I've been involved, and you were there before me. So.
Well, I'll tell you, you just can expect almost anything in a game, even from the great ones. This should be reasonably easy hit. Roll out for the blank, but remember, he's got to get it by that guard.
He's just playing it. He's got to play it quietly. He's got to get some movement.
Got to get a little more movement.
It's not coming much.
Just has to tick it. No, he's not going to get it. Steele goes to the United States, and what Tim Wright thought was a bad shot turns out to be a pretty good shot. Welcome to London in '86. That's the Scott Tournament of Hearts. That'll be going there. We'll be right back in just a moment.
You could rent this car from a big name and really spend a big dollar. That's not Rent-A-Wreck. You may rent this car from a no-name car rental. That's not Rent-A-Wreck. You can rent this car, or even this car from $8.95 a day. That's Rent-A-Wreck.
At Rent-A-Wreck, we are practical. At Rent-A-Wreck.
Kick off the weekend with TSN and our great Friday night lineup. At 6:30, Tennis Magazine. 7 o'clock, Sports Desk, followed by Inside the PGA Tour. At 8, it's an hour for horse racing fans. Then at 9, live from Memphis, the Tampa Bay Bandits take on the Showboats on our Friday night USFL game, followed by Sports Desk. And there's more great sports all night long on TSN, where the Blue Jays meet Los Angeles Saturday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern.
Fourth round play, at least fourth end play in the 9th round of the 1985 Air Canada Silver Broom. Once again, Tim Wright has put a stone into the house from Russ Armstrong. Al Hackner has ignored it, and Pat Perot is putting up the corner guard. Let's come back to that last stone of Al Hackner's in that third end, where he had to get by, squeeze by the guard, try to tap the stone in the back of the 12-foot out of play. It just seemed to hold up at the last.
Well, it's the danger, as you mentioned even before you threw it, Doug. You mentioned that this is the time that sometimes you step your weight up a little bit in the attempt to get the split. I really honestly believe that it's almost just a draw, and if it, you play it like it's just a draw, and if you get the 1 point to stay in, you can't afford to give away the extra point, and it really puts Allen in a tough position now. He's down 3. He's a scratcher and a biter, and he'll get himself back in the game, I'm sure. Let's go to this situation here where Al did throw up the corner guard. If you remember in the previous end when Al did that, Tim Wright played the guard on his own, but now with the 3-point lead, he walks up and defends the situation by running off the corner guard.
We've been waiting all week long to see if this Tim Wright team would fold, because we've never heard of them before. Hey, they're not folding.
No, that's right.
They're playing well.
I felt the same way. I felt that, that they look good, and but it's their first time here, that sooner or later they'll crack under this pressure, but no way. They just continually keep him pressing. And you're seeing it again. He just doesn't seem to be impressed by anyone. He just goes out there, does a job, and minds his own business.
Well, Pat Perot puts another corner guard up. And right nonchalantly goes out and sets the broom down, says, okay, let's get rid of it. It'll be Jim Wilson to do the job. Wilson is a 38-year-old insurance broker whose photographies include hobby and reading. Whose hobbies include photography and reading. Oh, yes. Okay, he gets the hit, keeps his shooter in play. Just a reminder that TSN presents NCAA hockey. Saturday, March the 30th, it's the final game of the NCAA Hockey Championship. It'll be coming to you live from Detroit. Saturday, March 30th, 7 p.m. Eastern Time.
Well, we have the rock out in front, Doug, but it really is. It's so far, so close to the boards. I don't think it's really going to be a factor. That's right. So we'll, Al's going to throw up another corner guard. He's going to go the other way this time. He'll go to the other side, play the out turn.
Gets it up there. Now, if this trend continues, if the United States can defeat Canada, they could wind up in a tie for first place at 6-3. Then it becomes, vital what happens to Norway and to Denmark.
Well, Denmark has things under control, so I don't think we have to worry about that. But look at the situation we have here now. He ran off the first corner guard, and when Al put it up again, he said, okay, Mr. Hackner, if you want to put those corner guards up, I'm going to make you shoot to beat me. And he's decided to guard, so he's playing the guard on his shot stone, which is at 12 o'clock, just in the 8-foot. There it is.
Good stone.
It's a very good stone, Doug.
I'll tell you, when you're sitting at the hack at the other end, you probably think you're...
He'll have to go up and try and split the double, run them back, and get the split double if he can.
We'll keep you advised of what's happening in the Norway-Switzerland game and the Denmark-England game, because that could be vital.
Well, we saw the call. Al, as opposed to playing it back and splitting it, he's asked Ian Tetley to play the come around, and if you chip the front one, that's fine. You can see the indication. He's just playing the draw, straight draw. If you chip the front one, that's fine. He wants to angle freeze onto the stone. A very, very aggressive move. He's down 3 points, however, so I guess he feels I got to get going. I got to do something.
Yeah, come on, then. Come on.
He's by.
Come on.
Up to the front of the 4-foot, but it is open.
It's wide open. The trouble with this kind of thing is you can really get yourself in some deep trouble and put this game out of reach if you're not careful.
But he has got rocks in play.
He's has.
Got lots, but not the right
Unfortunately,
ones.
they're the wrong color. That's right.
Right. He'd like a few more of those yellow-handled ones in there. Okay, Jahan coming down. Watching him carefully. He's 25 years old, right-handed, country club management.
Whoa!
He's got it. And puts it out of the ring. Mentioned the other two games that are vital, and Switzerland, a little bit of a surprise here, leading Norway 2-1 after 3 ends of play. Denmark comfortably ahead of England by a score of 7-2.
We didn't see it clearly, and from our position, sometimes it's tough to catch them on the ice, Doug. We are very high here, and they're on the outside sheet, but I think that he's playing exactly the same shot he asked Ian to play. He's asking Rick Lang to come around. It seems he's giving the same ice.
Well, Rick Lang is drawing at 85%.
His indication was that if you just touch the front one, you could, but this is staying out.
He's not getting the action he wanted. That stone is not coming around. Just bear that in mind as the game progresses. That out turn does not draw. If anything, that is out farther than Tetley's stone.
Yeah, it certainly is. It seemed to have no turn on it, too, which is very unusual for Rick. He usually puts a very distinct turn on his handle.
Jahan going after it. His stone, too, seems to be hanging out. Hits it on the nose.
It's a good shot, but it puts it in a position that if Rick Lang can hit it thin enough, he can make the double and end up covered.
Hackner looks things over. And Lang waits at the other end. Yes, he signals the double is there. Here's the weight call. Oh, I think he's like the catcher or the pitcher. He's shaking that call off.
Well, he was going to play it with the... He actually shook off the turn, Doug, I think. He was going to play into the stone with the in turn, and now he's gone to the other turn, I think. It's coming across it.
He's going to use the out turn.
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
Needs lots of movement, as you mentioned earlier. We haven't been getting a lot of movement there.
Rolls across the face of the shot rock, but does not touch it. He's out of the rings and onto the divider. Here it is again. You can see he just missed that. Just missed it.
That's a very famous phrase. I just got the tick. I just missed that one. How many times?
We mentioned it just on that shot. You could see as we went across the homemade sign that the gals from London have, plugging the Tournament of Hearts in London in '86.
There are a lot of Canadians here, Doug. Is it in the neighborhood of 2,000 Canadians?
Something like 2,000 Canadians here from every part of the country. And have they been enjoying themselves?
But the hospitality has just been unbelievable. The Scots really, I mean, it's a legend. Their hospitality is known all around the world, and you have to be here to really, really feel it. It's just been unbelievable.
The word I've always used is that the Scots have hospitality that is relentless.
You're so much more elegant than I am. I mean, I could have never got that out.
Well, you've had to suffer through that kind of hospitality, I'll tell you what.
It's been tremendous. Well, Tim Wright's just in a super position here. He's looks to me like he's putting up another guard. He cuts off that draw to Al. You know, Al's going to have a tough time getting in there.
He certainly does not have that much weight on it, but they're not touching a brush to it. He just wants it over the line and out in front.
He's just trying to block the draw, and it's a good thought on his part. He's in a good position.
You would have to say that's a pretty fair country shot.
You bet it is.
He has really locked up that shot rock, and remember that out turn just does not seem to bend at all, and so Hackner and Lang trying to see whether they could come through to the other side. Now they're looking over at the left side, see what might happen. Hackner says, maybe if I get out a little bit further, maybe it'll come if sometimes that happens. You put it out a little wider and you get a little bit of action on it.
Well, they have to, of course, they're taking the middle of the 8-foot, so there really isn't, if you take a look at the long guard, it's on the left-hand side of the center line, so they're really not taking a lot of ice.
No.
It's got to hold, and what you look for in a shot like this, Doug, is for it to sort of hold down that line and then get a little action at the end, just as dying, maybe get a half buried.
There's the last 8 feet of it.
That's right.
Al Hackner trailing, as you can see from the scoreboard, 3-1, 3-0. Tim Wright, strong position, rocks out in front, shot rock in there. Hackner playing his first stone. Oh, how he would like to have this one in there and buried. Now they start to work.
Looks like the line, but the weight is a little suspect. He's got the good line. Has he got the weight, Doug? You noticed on the way down, actually, it's a good illustration of how the sweepers will judge the weight themselves. You know, Al was saying no, no, and Ian Tetley really never stopped brushing. Pat Perot jumped off a little bit, but the sweepers themselves, the brushers themselves, could tell that it just didn't have the weight.
Well, you can see from the line there, even with that weight, that rock just did not want to come in. Remember, the Broom was about the middle of the 8-foot, and if it's come in maybe a foot, 6 inches, 8 inches, that's about all.
You're right, it just didn't come at all.
That out turn will not bend in.
Keep that in mind for this hit, you know. Tim Wright, certainly, if he hits us on the nose...
then Al will really be in trouble.
Mr. Hackner is in deep trouble. There's no question about that.
Mind you, if he hits it on the nose or if it hangs out there, it might leave the double available for Al, but then he has to play that shot, his final one. Here we come. They're not touching a broom to it, rush to it.
Sit around.
Well, it hits and rolls out completely. Leaves Hackner the 8 foot to draw to. And it's just about the same shot as he threw last time. There you have it again. In some ways, it's better that it just rolls out of play there.
Well, there's no question that Al's been struggling a little bit in this particular game. He's at 47% on our stats monitor here, and that's really been the difference because Tim Wright is curling 86%, and when you get that big a spread, you can bet your life that one team is going to be leading by a sizable margin.
Interesting that Hackner has yet to throw an in turn. All out turns, whether it be hit or draw. He's out there. They're looking at that weight. He looks to be okay.
You're staying with it.
Just over T-line weight as Al Hackner gets onto the scoreboard, and Canada now trails by 2. The score after 3/4 ends of play, the USA 3, Canada 1, and we'll be right back.
The essence of hitting. George Brett.
Some guys say it's the rhythm, reading the pitch. For me, it's a feeling that says I'm going downtown.
The essence of shaving.
This is Atra by Gillette. It pivots so the twin blades stay on your beard longer. But what Atra is all about is the feeling that says you just got Gillette's best shave.
Gillette, the essence of shaving.
We're coming up to the midway end of the 9th round of action. 1985 Air Canada Silver Broom coming your way from the Kelvin Hall in Glasgow. Doug Maxwell here, along with Ray Turnbull. And we're watching a 3-1 game with the United States holding the advantage at the moment, also holding the hammer on this 5th end of play. And Russ Armstrong just barely easing Canada's front stone out of action over by the boards.
Well, it's a steal situation for Al, and he'll peck away and peck away. And he's a master at it, so it's not a situation that he would wished upon himself or would have liked, but it's there. It happened, and he'll throw the rocks up in front and hope to get something going, hoping for that nose hit, and see if Mr. Wright can make some of the fine shots.
It's interesting in this final round of play that all 5 games are vital games. They all have a bearing on what will happen, whether there are tiebreakers required or whether we'll go straight into the playoffs. It'll be a 4-team playoff. Semifinals tomorrow. The final on Sunday as Pat Perot puts another front stone up very quickly, covering some of the other games. Scotland is playing Italy, and after 4 ends of play, they hold a distinct 5-0 advantage. Germany playing Sweden. That Sweden holds a 4-2 edge over the Germans. You can see the leaderboard there that you need one of those top 4 teams, especially the teams that are at 5-3 to lose to create that 5-4 final mark. And of course, Germany, Scotland, Italy, and Sweden, 2 of those teams are going to wind up 5-4 because they're playing each other. And here we have a miss, a veritable miss. And now chance for Al Hackner to get that steal going.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if I think Al will go back up on top again. He may go in. Those are the options, of course, is to play. He's looking at it now. There's the call.
I think he wants to go in. Just put it on the maple leaf.
This is the kind of shot that if you come up short, that's fine. If you get around it, the thing you don't want to do here is be heavy, of course.
This is the first in-turn draw that Ian Tetley has had to throw. The out-turn draws, he's been at 85%.
Whoa! 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 Lots of room, lots of room.
Lots of room. You can hear them say it. Puts it right on the edge of the maple leaf. Still available to Tim Wright. We'll ask Russ Wilson to go for it. Psychologically, this is a difficult shot in some ways because Wilson has just missed on the front stone and he doesn't want to miss this one.
Hurry! Hurry! Whoa! 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 Whoa!
Good controllable weight. It's a weight shot. You don't want to be throwing it too hard and missing it on the outside. And
well, you had the little movement away from that center stone. Now gives Hackner the opportunity to play just a little bit with the brush and maybe get the hit and the roll in behind. There's his signal at the far end saying to Ian Tetley, that's the weight, hack weight. Here's the broom. You know the turn. Here we go.
It's a great weight shot. You can see it staying out, Doug.
Roll. Yep, roll it. Roll it.
He says roll it. Gets it off to the side 8 foot.
Fairly straight.
It almost appears that that side of center line, that is toward the edge of the boards. Remember, this is sheet A. It's off to the side sheet.
Here's an interesting call, too, Doug. Inside the 8 foot, inside the 12 foot, between the 8 and the 4, they've been playing the in-turn at these shots. Now you can see that Tim Wright's gone to the out-turn, in other words, he's playing into the stone. They don't like to go out on that edge, and you can just see a little build up. The humidity we mentioned, it is raining here today, so there's a little bit more humidity in here, a little bit of frost build up.
Now this has got to come a long, long way as Jim Wilson Y-balls it intently.
Comes at the end here. Here it comes.
He sure did get it coming a long way.
That's one of those spots.
That may be an indication that there is just a little drift on that sheet, on that center line, off to the side of the divider, coming both ways. Both the out turn coming toward the house at the home end and the in turn going away from the house.
Well, we're back to the same situation. Al has a chance to get the hit and little roll behind the long center guard. So,
and now he has changed to the out turn as well.
His comment after Ian's last shot was that it just runs so. You just hear him say, we just heard him say, it just runs so straight there, no movement at all.
Hit. Hurry.
He gets the hit. Will he get the roll? Oh, lovely. Maybe just out the other side a little bit.
But it changes the shot, Doug.
Oh,
it makes
sure
it a
does.
brand new shot. It's a good stone.
Here it is again. Hit, roll. John Jayhat with the out-turn hit. Now remember, there seems to be a lot of action on the out-turn. He's got to get it by that front stone. Is he going to get it by? He does. Not only gets it by, well, it hangs out. Hack weight is the signal from Hackner to Rick Lang, and would they dearly love to get the hit and the roll behind that lone yellow handle out front. Veteran Al Hackner, who was at 75% on his outturn hits, 81% on his draws. That is Hackner. Rick Lang hurling almost the same at 74 and 76%. Gets the hit, but it does not roll. So it's out there, still available.
Just doesn't move. You get inside that 8 foot, coming in towards the center line, there's just very little movement of the stone. Coming off the center line, you'll see some movement, but not coming into it. Very similar to the Briar, exactly the way it was at the Briar. Not exactly, but very similar, that you had to climb up the center line, then it would come off with some movement, but would hold until it got there.
Hurry! Hurry!
Here's John Jahant's stone. And it, too, is going to roll a little. Well, no, it doesn't roll, just sticks on the nose.
Same quiet weight.
Same quiet weight. Tim Wright. Al Hackner. Locked in a tight 3-1 game in the final round of the Air Canada Silver Broom. If Canada wins this game, they will have sole possession of first place, leaving it to Norway and Denmark to fight it out for second place, and we could have anywhere from a 3, 4, or 5-way tie for third place, which would necessitate a couple of tie-breaking rounds. On the other hand, if the United States should make this margin hold up and they should win, we could have a 2, 3, or 4-way tie for first place, depending upon the outcome of the Norway and Denmark games. This is going to be on the front one.
Yeah,
maybe he's going to get it the Chinese way.
He just didn't throw it. If you notice, Doug, he bounced it down to the ice surface. He just had a little timing problem in his delivery, and the rock bounced, and as a result, he rolled it right over, and it just went sideways on him.
Nothing going right for Al Hackner at this point of the game. And Tim Wright now says we'll just try and draw up to the face of that back stone, Canadian stone, and lie 2. Chance of the steal not too hot at this point. Advantage passes to right of the United States. He goes to the attack, wants to put one in front of the Canadian stone to lie 2 with 2 rocks to come. Jahant and Wright go out to talk it over.
Got to throw away.
The other games this morning, and we'll try and give you a rundown of the scores at the conclusion of this end.
Could go over there.
Have Scotland against Italy, Germany against Sweden. Those are the teams that are all locked with 4-4 records.
The curls.
Okay, they figured out the ice they want.
Even with our front stone, which should be about a foot or 2 in front of it.
Well, you could hear Tim Wright telling his sweepers, Jim Wilson and Russ Armstrong, good communication here. Should be just about a foot in front of it, he said. Well, that's the program that this computer programmer has set up. Now he says I'd take a little less ice, move it over.
Hurry. Hurry. Hurry.
Come on, hard. Come on.
Working at it to try and get it into the rings. Is it going to be in far enough? Well, you can see that he comes up short of the rings. Hackner remains at second stone, and what a turnover that is, as Hackner now has a chance to hit and hold himself in the rings for 2.
Well, still never had a chance. Never had a chance. No, I played the 2 shots last time.
Al Hackner coming up with his last stone of the 5th end. One stone yet to come from Tim Wright. Score is 3-1 for the United States.
There, spotless. Thanks. Rick says I can't throw that one, this one the same way as I did the last one.
Hackner talking to Tetley and Perot, getting ready. Fairly tight ice on this U.S. shot stone.
Yep. Ball.
Calls off Tetley and Perot. He gets it. Rolls over just to the other side of the center line. It is not covered at all. But there are 2 stones there counting. Here's the replay.
Do that one better, eh? Yeah.
Now, you just heard that was not Rick Lang or Al Hackner saying threw that one better. That was John Jahan, the 3rd for the United States, who said to Al as he went by, threw that one better, eh? Might be a little jockeying going on here, just a little gentle jockeying, maybe. Okay, here comes Wright with his last stone of the 5th end. Hits the hit, leaves it in the 8-foot, picks up 1 point, and the United States, after 5 ends of play, goes ahead by a score of 4-1. They hold a 3-point advantage as the teams leave the ice for the 5th end break. And we'll try to get Al Hackner over to a vantage point where Ray Turnbull can have a word with him. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the other games that are going. Hey, how about this? Switzerland picked up a deuce on the 5th end, and they lead Norway by a score of 4-1. The 8-3 count is in favor of Denmark over England. The Danes holding a very comfortable margin. They also have completed 8. On the key games to find out the teams that'll wind up with a 5-4 record. Germany against Sweden. The Swedes are ahead by 4-3, just a very narrow 4-3 edge. They are now moving into the 6th end of play. In the Scotland-England game, Italy's Andrea Pavani has finally got onto the scoreboard. It's a 5-1 game for Scotland's Billy Howitt. Now, the situation on the tie-breaking rounds is this. If we have teams that are at 5-4 with an opportunity to tie for 3rd or 4th place, then we will be into tie-breaking rounds. The only way we'll know if they can move into that 5-4 position is if the United States defeats Canada and if one of the other 2 leaders happen to falter. Let's go down now to Ray Turnbull with Al Hackner.
Al, I'm getting a bit of a complex. It seems every time we get a chance to talk, you're down. I put you in this bad position. Do you find conditions a little different this morning?
Well, actually, the ice is quite good. It's running quite well. Just that the, we lost the flip, and the American skip made a good hit and roll. I missed the race takeout, and he got 2 on the board. And after that, we've pretty well played quite well, and they really haven't missed too much.
That was an interesting shot, the one there where they stole the single point. Those are those in-between shots, Al, where do you play to try and blank it, or do you try and take the one? You were actually trying to chip it out, were you not?
Yeah, that's right. We felt we could see almost half of the rock, and the turn was pulling quite well, so we just took the broom and threw it, and halfway down, actually, I thought I had a good rock. It just didn't pull like some of the other rocks that pulled down there.
Well, you've been down in this position before, so it's a matter, and you have that great ability to grind it out, so I'm sure that the American team, have they been a little surprised here this week? They certainly have been to me. Have you ever had a chance to play them before, for example?
Played them once before, about 2 years ago, and they are curling quite well. I think they've obviously come a long way in the last couple of years, and but as far as our chances of coming back, on this ice, it's good for the comeback game. It's good curling ice. You can bury a rock anywhere, and that's got to be to our advantage if we're hoping to come back here.
Al, good luck. Good luck in the comeback. Good luck in the semifinal. And then the final, we hope. Thanks very much. Thank you. We'll be back after this commercial with Bill Turf, the general chairman of the 1986 Silver Broom.
You haven't captured them?
No, they had these Honda ATC inventions for all terrains.
Honda?
It seems they can go anywhere.
Honda.
many models, three-wheeled ATC or four-wheeled four-tracks, which has rear suspension. You can ride it forever.
Forever.
Until we catch them, of course.
Honda.
Mrs. Green, did you have a salad today? Did you have green beans? Mrs. Green, you should be getting some vegetables. Here, V8 Vegetable Juice Cocktail is made with the juices of 8 garden fresh vegetables, and Canada's Food Guide suggests vegetables are an essential part of a nutritious diet. One delicious V8 equals 1 full serving of vegetables. Now Mrs. Green is getting some vegetables.
Here's the vegetables.
Here's to V8.
I have with me Bill Turf, the general chairman of next year's Silver Broom in Toronto, and putting on an event of this size is a tremendous job, Bill, and I'm sure that you're experiencing all the headaches that go with it. And how are things progressing for next year?
Things are progressing very well, Ray. As you know, we've been working for about 2 years now, very hard. The majority of our committee is in place. They have been for about a year. We've got other spots to fill, but without doubt, these will be filled very shortly. We've learned a lot here this year in Glasgow. It's been a tremendous experience here for us. I can really see the work that is involved. The headaches are beginning, and no doubt within a year's time now they become migraines. But beyond that, I think we'll get through it all right.
Well, it's the first time that we've had the opportunity to have the World Curling Championships in Toronto, and it's that you're looking forward to it, and things will fall in place for you.
No question about it. Toronto really has never done anything like this, at least for curling. We're quite proud of the fact that we are, I guess, we had been selected for the Silver Broom, and we're looking for bigger and better things in the future.
Good luck, Bill.
Thanks very much, Ray.
We'll switch you back upstairs to Doug Maxwell in the continuation of play for the 6th end.
And there's the scene that catches our viewers right across the country as we get the first rock in play. Russ Armstrong putting it up to the front rings into the 8-foot. In fact, right up to almost to behind the tee line. Well, it is just barely back of the tee line. And the signal from Al Hackner is we may just play up to that. He's debating the point. No, he's got the broom down. He wants the hit. I thought he was just putting it down there to signal that he wanted the freeze to it. But instead, he's going to play the corner guard as he has throughout this whole series. He has elected to ignore the stone in the house. Could have hit it, could have frozen to it. Plays the long corner guard. And we have seen Tim Wright do 2 things. One, he has tried to play the guard, or he has elected to defend by running off the corner. This time he goes for the guard. Talk about cat and mouse game, Ray Turnbull, back up here, running all the way up. That puts you in condition, doesn't it? Those 85 steps.
I've always been a top athlete, though. No problem.
I've noticed that, yes.
Kept myself in top condition. You know, it's interesting to watch this call. I would have thought that, you know, that Tim maybe would switch a little bit to the defense and try and defend this by running off that corner guard, but he had great success in earlier ends playing this way, so when you do that, I guess you feel, well, it's worked for me before, I'll just stay with it.
The only reason I wasn't saying much there, I was trying to swallow that last comment about the top athlete.
Well, it was interesting talking to Bill Turf, of course, the general chairman of next year's World Championship in Toronto, and I really think with the new sponsorship next year, and you know, Air Canada has done so much for curling over the years. Doug, just been fantastic, but it's a time for change and a new era, and I think that we're in for great things in the future.
18 years of support from Air Canada has developed the Silver Broom into one of the top world events, and curlers all across the world are grateful to Air Canada for what they have done.
Oh, I don't think you can say enough about it. They've just been fantastic. Not just the Silver Broom. I mean, Air Canada has done all the little things that people don't know about. You know, they certainly supported me all those years when I went to Europe to teach the Europeans. They've certainly helped you through the years, and it's all the little things that Air Canada has done. And you know, I think that you know, there's a change now, and we have to approach it with a strong feeling, and I really think that the future looks just great.
Well, Pat Perot tried to come around, was unable to do so. rolled the guard over to that 2 o'clock position that you see just outside the rings. And now here is Jim Wilson coming up with Hill trying to put the guard right back. Armstrong and Jayhat working on the brushes.
Well, you know, it's playing guards like this, Doug, really can be dangerous. You know, Al and the boys from Thunder Bay haven't been able to finish, but they certainly have rocks in front of the ring. So if they can make some fine shots, and they're very capable of making them, we know that. We saw it, especially in the last 2 draws. You know, they struggled on Wednesday, but the last 2 draws, they've played fabulous. So
I'll tell you what, that's a pretty good guard out in front. It's going to force them into the other turn.
But it's long, Doug. It's very, very long, and I know there isn't a lot of movement on from the inside out. We've been talking about it, but that guard is long. You can see Al's indicating back ring weight. They just get by that front one and tap it back. That guard that was put up by the Americans could work against them.
You betcha.
And you know, the game is so difficult. You hate to have your own stones being the ones that cause you the problems.
Ian Tetley. 22-year-old, right-handed student, Lakehead University. I'll bet a lot of his classmates are watching this game as Tetley watches his shot come down. And what's the action going to be?
Just not curling.
Misses. Out the back door almost. Just to the back rings.
Out the back door almost.
TSN presents Grapefruit League Baseball on Saturday, March the 30th. Watch the Toronto Blue Jays when they meet the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's Grapefruit League Baseball, Saturday, March the 30th, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. There's the hack attack. Hello, London, Ontario.
And that's a great sign, isn't it?
Right up there beside the TSN sign that lets people here know about the great coverage that TSN has been providing to the 1985 Air Canada Silver Broom from Glasgow. Jim Wilson.
3. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Well, we're getting the great wall of Wilmette being thrown up there in front. You see that port up there to the right that Al is going to look at. We were playing in a Grand Transatlantic match game the other day. It was about a port that size that was facing our opposition Scottish skip. And when Bob Picken, the Winnipeg broadcaster, said to the Scottish skip, well, there's a wee port for you, our Scottish host looked at it and he says, over here we call that a big port. Okay. It looks as if Al Hackner is saying, hey, we don't care if you wreck on that front one and open it up, but there is a chance to get through.
There's a hole there, but it's not a very big one. But if you do get through it, you certainly have a rock well covered.
Well, let's just see how Ian Tetley manages to negotiate that port if he can get through, if it is wide enough. Cleans out the one, breaks and rolls his own into the rings. Well, that's useful.
You know, Doug, that not only useful, that's an excellent shot. I believe the back one is still biting as well. So the shot rock, yes, belongs to the U.S. team, but to Tim Wright. But Canada now lies second and third shot.
And they
have the hammer. Things are not developing the way that I'm sure that Tim would like it. You know, he should be defensing this situation. He's looking at now hitting. Well,
maybe he figures he's been going with the guards and he'd better try and keep desperately protecting that shot rock.
Well, they're really discussing this. They've gone over to take a look at the other one again now.
Says you could hit and roll. Maybe he's going to get both. He'll get the guard by hitting the second stone and rolling. It's up to John Jayhat as his hand comes off before the hog line. Umpires on the hog lines have been watching. There has been no problem at all with the hog line this whole week. That stone is not coming. You'll recall throughout the game that out turn on that side has not come over an inch. It did not on that one. Now, if Hackner can get the hit and the roll behind the cover, Could have the makings of the kind of end he would like to see. That would put him right back on the scoreboard. Very close, if not tied, to the USA.
Well, he'd like, you know, he'd definitely like to get 2 points here. Looking at this situation from this angle, I think that the good possibility, it doesn't curl very much, and the good possibility to get the inside roll, I think, is a little difficult, but you could hit it on the outside and roll in behind the corner guard, the U.S. stone that's just out in front of the rings at about 2 o'clock.
Okay, Rick Lang going for it.
Yep. Hurry!
He's at 74% on his outturn hits, and that's the shot that he is playing. Oh, it wrecks.
Just haven't been able to get the little things.
Problems for the Canadians in the 6th end of play. They trail Tim Wright's team from Wilmette, Illinois, 4-1. And we know that there's a good contingent of Americans from the border parts that are watching this game on TSN. No doubt the John Osund rink from North Dakota. They went to the U.S. Championships this year, came oh so close. They would have liked to have been here. They're watching and rooting for Tim Wright at this stage as John J. Hunt delivers another one. Now remember, this is about the first outturn that has climbed up and swung over. Climbed up that center line and sitting out in front.
Well, he just took ice on the center line, and we'll be able to see probably in a moment from a different angle. But there it is now. You can see exactly how much the rock is covered. I think that it's much easier. I'm sure that it's much easier to get at this stone coming into it like this. In other words, being able to play this outturn at it as opposed to having to play that in-turn.
Hackner goes out to take a look at it from the point of view of Rick Lang at the pack. Has his rock cleaned, waiting to go. Pack weight, he says.
It's a long guard, Doug. There's lots of room to get by. It'll move. Once it comes to that center line, it'll move for you.
Being swept all the way.
Hurry! Fire it all the way.
He's by the guy.
Wants the long roll. There it is. Oh, it's a great shot by Rick Lang. Boy, that turns an end around. You know, you've got the shot rock buried, Douglas, and you've got the second shot, that one that at the 530 position in the back of the 12-foot, and you've got last rock. You're in great position to put yourself. It's just amazing how Al he's just a grinder. He just hangs in there and hangs in there.
How an end can turn around. Jay Hunt and Wright looking at it now.
Terrific view of the situation for our viewers. You know, they can see they force Tim Wright into playing a draw. He's going to try and draw to the 4-foot, come around with his in-turn and try and cut this end down. That's all he really has. The other choice, of course, the other option would be to play the second shot.
We really haven't had the shot yet. So once it moves, it's going to go a ton.
Once it moves, it's going to go a ton.
Well, I'll tell you what, you look at the CompuStats board, and we see that Tim Wright on his in-turn draw is shooting at 90%. Overall, he is at 80%. His out-turn draws, not too good. He's only 50% there, so he's playing to his strength on this occasion. Now, remember, there probably is a fair swing here. We've seen that the out-turn does not move. We're on to the in-turn.
The official scorer in this game has given this a degree of difficulty of 1. That runs from 0 to 3 for degree of difficulty. And as the game progresses and the pressure mounts, the degree of difficulty can alter.
Big difference in the beauty of having the computers here providing the statistics. They give you instantaneous action. And Computerland, who have provided the activities for us, we really appreciate that. He's got it by. Has he got enough legs to it? No, sir. He is going to be second stone, but he does nullify the second stone at the back. There you can see our vantage point and some of the international media who have gathered here from all parts of the curling world to watch the action.
Well, they're taking a long look at this because they'd like very much to play it, Doug, but they also don't want to be driving it back onto their shot stone. The reason, obviously, they want to play it is because they could lie 3.
And stick around for 3, yeah. Yeah. Sit head on and...
Yeah, but anywhere on the right side, he's in trouble. So
Yeah.
it's that shot. Foul back.
And what do you think, sir?
It's that easy, eh? Well, I have a feeling that he...
Hi, Mom.
Are you sure it was Mom? Well, while Hackner and Lang were watching it from out front, Jay Hunt and Wright looking at it from behind. Let's see if we can hear anything.
A lot more options that way.
You'd absolutely have to hear that guard.
Okay. Throw it quietly enough that if I chip it all, I can stick around. All I need is half a rock.
Control of it, though.
Well, that's the best way to control a rock is with quiet weight.
Yeah,
Use the broom.
with the big snaps out here.
If I take his draw ice, throw hack weight.
He hit well out, though. He hit out here. Throwing hack?
Yeah.
Well, there you got it from the architects.
It's great to listen to those two people discuss the game because you're listening to Ricky Lang, as you know, Doug, in his own right, is is a top skip. I mean, he skipped.
Right. Some of the Canadian fans here waving to the folks at home and waving the flags to help root on the Hackner squad.
I'm trying to hit the outside edge of it. About half a rock. Throwing about hack weight.
There's the communication to the brushers about hack weight just to hit it on the outside.
This is the big shot of the game for Al Hackner. He's going to play that weight. He wants to hit it on the outside, roll in behind the long corner guard to lie 3.
Clear off a little bit of the action on the ice so that nothing could get this stone started poorly. Key shot coming up.
Hack weight for Al Hackner.
His first stone of the 6th end. He trails 4-1. He desperately wants a deuce, maybe even a 3. He's got that opportunity. A lot depends on this shot.
We're waiting for it.
People at home with their fingers crossed. He gets the hit and rolls it out of the rings. Yes, it does. And his own stone hangs around. Not only that, but it is guarded by the American stone up at the top of your screen. And that brings the fans to their feet. Now, with 2 stones left, Tim Royd has got to find somewhere to bury his stone. There it is again. Look at that hit. And we follow the action as the American stone is squeezed out of the rings.
Would have liked to obviously hit it a little thicker, Doug, to keep the shot a little higher, but it's a super shot. It leaves the American only one opportunity. That's to play the draw, the freeze down to the face of the Canadian stone or somewhere behind that corner guard.
Okay, the in-turn draw for Tim Wright. He is playing it at 78%. He's got a very fine 77% overall, and that's just about the percentage that he has had so far on his draws.
Got weight. He's got weight. Got weight.
They're holding off it.
It should stay out here. They haven't been curling at all until they get to the center line. You can see it's just holding.
Tell you, if that stays in the open, then it could be an open hit for 4 for Al Hackner.
It is.
Big opportunity here for Hackner to move into the lead.
Wide open takeout for 4 points. Just a wide open takeout for 4 points.
A routine hit. Oh, what is routine when you're at the world level? In this kind of a game, the pressure that is there. Look at that, just squeezed by that front stone.
The official scorekeeper gave him a degree of difficulty of 2 on that shot, and then in a point award of 2, he is shot rock, and Al has to play it. But obviously, our viewers know that it's wide open, and Al can hit it on the nose. It's 4 points, and it all developed with Tim Wright deciding to play some guards as opposed to defending this end. I mean, hindsight's a great thing. Had he got the guards up, and it could have worked for him previously. But now Mr. Hackner has a hit for 4, and here it is.
Scorers put a degree of difficulty of 2 on this one, as opposed to the 1 of others. They're holding on to it. Is he going to be able to get it? Hits, rolls. Is it going to hang around? No, it does not. So should be 3 points there, although one of the backstones had been picked off. I assume it's 3 points. We'll wait and see. We don't make any assumptions here at all. That one may not have been counting. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see what they put up on the board. In any event, Canada has shortened the edge, and we'll be right back after this message.
I work the CP railway line. I go where the steel rail guides me. I'm bound to haul a heavy load down an independent road. I work the CP railway line.
The railway never sleeps. We're always there doing our job, and you know, we're a big company, but you're just never too big to hustle, and that's what we do.
The job isn't 9 to 5, not if you're really interested in your customer. You want him to stop worrying at 5 o'clock.
I work the CP railway line.
I had a guy ask me, how can you stand going to work in the middle of the night? And I can't really answer that because I don't think anybody would really want to go to work in the middle of the night, but subconsciously, you have an obligation to fill. And that's railroading. Now, where would this country be without the railroad to start with?
CP Rail.
CP Rail, helping Canada move forward.
We're in the opening rocks of the 7th end of play. Canada picked up only a pair, and you can see the scoreboard. They got 2 on the 6th end to pull within 1 point of Tim Wright. We were so intent on watching what happened to Al Hackner's shooter that we didn't see that the American team, the American stone, hit Canada's one that was barely biting at the back and managed to reeze it out of the ring. So how do you do? That the Canadians only got a deuce on that end. A chance of 4, chance of 3. They pick up 2. It's 4-3 for the Americans playing in the 7th end of play.
Well, it's a good indication of exactly how tricky the ice is to play on, Doug, because the rock got to the center line, and you can see it moved quickly where you get out 2 or 3 inches and it'll run straight down, as Tim Wright's draw did. It just didn't curl at all, yet Al took quite a bit less ice, and it got to the center line and moved across, and he got the bad break of ticking the one that was at the back of the 12-foot on the way out, and he only got 2 points. So really, it's a little break for Tim Wright, because there was certainly a chance for 4, obviously a chance for 4, a good chance for 3, and his shooter didn't stay, and he only got 2 points.
As we look at the other games that are going on at the same time, Switzerland now holds a 5-2 edge over Norway. They are in the 8th end of play. Denmark has seen England creep up on them. It's 8-5 for Denmark. They are playing in the 7th. Scotland and Italy. Scotland holds a 6-3 advantage over Italy. And Sweden against Germany is still 4-3 for Sweden. And they're playing in the 7th end.
Hurry! Well, I would think that Tim Wright feels quite relieved after that end, Doug. It's the kind of thing you say, boy, we got out of that one.
We got out of that one. Could have lost 4, might have lost 3, only lost 2.
But it's a new game. It's 4-3, so it's a new contest.
Anybody's game at this stage. The Americans holding a slim 1-point edge over the Canadians.
Back to the center line, up in front. I think you'll find Mr. Wright just be a touch careful about guarding and leaving those front stones up now.
Stone comes up to the front rings, just short of the house.
That's the kind of shot you don't want to slip into the rings and to allow the Americans to play in the rings, that's for sure. You want to keep them out in front. It's pretty tight, as a matter of fact. Better 2 or 3 feet further out.
Jim Wilson goes to the clear. It'll stay in play.
The ice really has been good all week, you know, Doug. From our point of view and from a spectator point of view, you'd really love to see ice surfaces like this, and that's what makes the Brier so interesting as well, is that there's movement in the ice, and it's tricky to read, and experience pays dividends for you. But when you get on ice, it's very, very fast and very, very straight. You really don't see the spectacular shot making. You see maybe more consistency, but you don't see those big spectacular shots.
Great action here from the Stones as well. So the combination of the temporary ice surface, this is not regular ice that has been laid down. They brought in 12 miles of piping, about 50,000 gallons of water, and about 50 tons of sand, and a whole crew of Scots ice makers under the direction of Canadian Donnie Lewis from Regina have just made an excellent playing. Give some credit to the rocks, which have been brought over here from the Temiskaming and Northern Ontario Curling Association. They are excellent rocks used in the Brier in Sudbury, so that the players know that the rocks are perfect. They know the ice is great. You can play any shot you want.
Haven't heard one complaint of any nature about the rocks at all.
None whatsoever.
And the only time that we had any discussion about the ice was the day that we had for 5 heads had some trouble, and that's going to happen. How do you like the shot that Guthler made against Scotland, the raised double takeout to win his game the other day?
As a matter of fact, he just about did a flip on the ice.
A break dance. He did some break dancing.
He was down on his back and wiggling his feet in the air. I'll tell you, it was action like we've never seen.
It was an extra end. He had to raise a rock from the top of the 12-foot back and split a rock on the 4-foot and then roll his shooter in, and he did exactly that. That's the better guard, Doug. You know, it's 2.5 to 3 feet in front of the rings. There's no chance for the USA to hit it and roll their rock into play. Good stone. Hal's taking a peek around.
John Jay had to deliver.
Hooray!
Al Hackner would dearly love a nose hit.
This will move a bit at the end.
Let it roll, says Jay Ant, and it is not going to roll. That's the break that Hackner was hoping to get. And he's got Ricky Lang coming up with Rick's second stone. Now the only question is he going to play him on the in-turn or the out-turn draw? Playing on the in-turn, he's 71%. His out-turn draw is 91%. Under these circumstances, he's going to the in-turn. It's much more difficult for that in-turn to move as well when you're to the left of the center line as you go down there. So the chance of him getting it buried may be difficult, but on the other hand, if he can get it by this stone, and if it can come in enough, then he leaves it very difficult to hit, but it is not going to come in.
It just doesn't come, Doug.
Run straight.
You're almost better. No, you are better to have the guards 6 or 8 inches off the center line so that you can take the, you can get to the center line and then come down it.
The applause that you hear is for a hit by Billy Howitt. On the 8th end of play, he picked up 4 points against the Italians. There's Billy Howitt. They are now shaking hands with the Italians as they come off with a 10-3 victory. And that gives the Scots a record of 5 wins and 4 losses. And it may not be a horse, but he's galloping along. Happy to show the flag for Scotland. And of course, they are now hoping that there will be that tie-breaking round because their team is into it. If there is a tie-breaking round, it'll be at the 5 and 4 level, and Scotland has now made it.
This gentleman get a job in Calgary running around during football games.
He'd only have to do the 100 yards, 110 yards. Here comes Hackner.
He's playing the out-turn hit. American stone rolled right across the sheet to the back of the 8-foot. Wants to stay here. He doesn't want to roll out.
He's going to. No, he's in there.
It's wide open, Doug, and this turn runs very, very straight.
See how tight to the stone Jay Hand is playing this. It just does not get much action at all on that in turn.
No, this will run straight down. Just no movement at all. You know, and you
None whatsoever. Sticks on the nose.
It's a hard shot too. You know, you'd like to take less ice, and but you know, the closer you get to that center line, if you take in the edge of the rock and you get a little bit of movement, you miss it. So I think you'll find that what Al will do is, you know, take the ice he believes in, obviously, and if you could maybe get a little roll the other way, he could force a change in the shot.
See if he says anything to Tetley and Perot about this shot. No, he's got himself set.
He's an excellent setup. It takes time to set up. Sets up clean. That's a good hip elevation, trunk lift we call it. Flat swing, good balance. See, perfect balance. He got it outside a bit. It doesn't come very much, we know.
Moves it over there to the edge of the 8-foot. Tim Wright will go after it. Try to blank the end.
Stayed out a long time. Al's shot stayed out a long time. They would have liked to have maybe brushed it a wee bit and rolled it over even further, but you certainly didn't want to roll out of the ring. So discretion being the better part of valor, they let it work a little bit, and it rolled 3 or 4 inches to the outside. He changes the shot slightly, but not a great deal.
Well, Billy Howard has finished his game for Scotland, a 10-3 victory over Italy. And right now, I imagine he is rooting for Canada. He needs a Canadian victory to ensure a tie-breaking round. If the United States should happen to beat Canada, they'd both wind up with 6-3 records. And then depending how Norway and Denmark do, they would be 6-3 as well. In fact, if any one of those top teams should lose, there's the hit and the roll. It's counts 1 for the United States on the 7th end. 5-3 is the score now. We'll be right back.
The competition is always fierce. Each weekend, TSN presents exciting rugby action. Be sure to join us weekends for the best in rugby excitement here on the Sports Network.
Kick off the weekend with TSN and our great Friday night lineup. At 6:30, Tennis Magazine. 7 o'clock, Sports Desk, followed by Inside the PGA Tour. At 8, it's an hour for horse racing fans. Then at 9, live from Memphis, the Tampa Bay Bandits take on the Showboats on our Friday night USFL game, followed by Sports Desk. And there's more great sports all night long on TSN, where the Blue Jays meet Los Angeles Saturday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern.
3 ends of play remain in the regulation time of this 9th round game between the United States of America and Canada at the 1985 Air Canada Silver Broom in Glasgow, Scotland. USA holds a 5-3 advantage over Canada, has just put a stone into the rings. And once again, Al Hackner will ignore that stone and ask Pat Perot to throw up a corner guard on the out turn.
Well, really, in essence, in the sixth end, the seventh end, Doug, Al did his job. He held the you'd love to steal, of course. There's no question with that. But he held the U.S. team to a single point, and now here's a good indication of, how offensive he will play. He's ignoring the rock that's at the top of the 4-foot, the U.S. stone. He put up the corner guard. If you remember back to the sixth end, Mr. Brown guarded one of these shots, but not this time. He's going to run off. Mr. Wright guarded one of these shots, and he's not going to make the same mistake twice. He's going to run that corner guard off.
He wants to keep as clean a house as possible. So he sends Russ Armstrong to the out-turn hit. Not saying a thing to it. Peels it off. I mentioned just a moment ago that Scotland undoubtedly cheering for Canada now. In fact, they may also be cheering for Switzerland, because if Switzerland can defeat Norway and they hold the same score edge over Norway, 5-3, they're playing in the ninth end. If Switzerland should defeat Norway, then we will have a 5-4 tie for fourth position. And if that happens, then we are into tie-breaking rounds. So Scotland sitting back, waiting for the tiebreakers. Two other teams that could be involved in the tiebreakers, Sweden and Germany. At the moment, it appears that Sweden will be the one that would be there. They have a 7-3 end as Pat Perot puts the corner guard up once more.
There's a situation. Al's, desperate to get some points and get something going, and he'll throw up those corner guards as long as he can, and ignore the stone, the U.S. stone that lies shot at the 10 o'clock position, biting the edge of the 4-foot. What Al's looking for here, of course, is a nose hit. Rock that hits and stays somewhere in that front so he can get in behind it.
Not this time.
No, sir.
Americans, I'm sure, can sense the possibility of the win.
Well, they really sighed a big sigh of relief after that sixth end. They got Al Hadley hit for 4, and he only got the 2 points, and that's really is the big difference in this game at this moment.
We have a possibility of a 3- or a 4-way tie for first place as well if the United States should win. If the U.S. should beat Canada, if Denmark continues its advantage over England, it is now 8-6 for the Danes as they play the 8th end. If they should win that game and Norway should lose, then you'd have a 3-way tie for first place. If listen, you can go on all night with it.
Doug, as you very well know, I've umpired 7 Uniroyals and 3 Silver Brooms, and early in my early years, I used to work all these combinations out and get them all set in about the draw ahead of time or 2 draws ahead of time. I learned the hard way that I used to wait till the last rock of the last game was thrown and then run quickly to you.
Miss. Jim Wilson whistled that one by the Canadian corner guard.
That's what Al needed. He needed the miss on that front stone or a nose hit. He got it, and I'm sure you'll see him utilize it now by going in under it. There's the call.
Ian Tetley will be throwing the out-turn draw, and on his out-turn draw, he's currently shooting at 76%. He's got an overall percentage of 84. Sorry, his out-turn draw is 89%. It was his in-turn draw that was 76.
Oh, no. Come on.
And Mr. Tetley plays it to perfection, just in front of the tee line. And there you can see its position. Relative to that corner guard, you couldn't have put it better if you'd carried it down and set it in place.
You sure couldn't have, Doug. This is an interesting call. I would think maybe at this stage of the game that Tim Wright might run off the long corner guard, but he's chosen to come around it. You don't want to make a mistake here. The official scorekeeper of this game is John Allardyce from Winnipeg, and this is his 6th World Championship as an official scorer, and it was obvious that was an award of 4 points on Mr. Tetley's draw. This is the danger of this kind of thing, Douglas, is that you're now getting yourself in a position where Canada can get some rocks in play if you know, if Rick Lang can hit this, notice, hit this rock and get a little inside roll. Here it is again.
He's just rolled that equally behind the corner.
Well, it's pushed it out wide now, and those are we talked about them repeatedly about how difficult they are to play those shots out there. But if Rick can get and you do get some action on the stone as they come down off the center line, if Rick can hit this on the inside and roll in behind that corner guard, it really puts Canada in a good position. This is the way these ends sneak up on you, and then they eventually bite you. Here it is.
Rick Lang, 91% on his outturn draws, 74% on his outturn hits, and this is the sort of soft hit that he wants to get the flop and roll. He's got it, and he gets a little bit of movement to the inside. Rick Lang does. There is the second and third stones belonging to Canada, and there you can see just a corner of it peeking out.
That's right. That's the good shot. That's the good camera shot. You can see it just moves late. Just at the very end, it starts to move. They stay off it all the way. Now the movement, a little bit of an inside roll.
The double is there, but it's going to be tough.
You think the double's there, Douglas?
Well,
yeah, you can see a corner.
I think
it's
you can
possible,
see a piece of that. I'll tell you what, it's a very difficult one.
Is it ever?
And Jay Hunt doesn't waste any time going after it. Not a brush being laid to it. It's going to be on the outside of it. Is he going to get any piece of it? Gets one. Does not get the second. Rolls it to the back, 8 foot just inside the 12 foot on the center line. Shooter rolls over the top of the 4 foot on the center line.
Just the same, it's a very good shot. A very, very good shot.
Give Jay Hunt full marks on that one.
There's the 1, there's the 2. Just doesn't get it out. Rolls over beside the shot rock, top of the 4 foot. Here it is again.
Look at that.
Here, we almost sang that. Here it is again.
Set it to music.
Little music, and we were away.
We could make it on the candlelight and wine circuit there, Moosey.
Unfortunately, neither one of us can sing. That's the problem.
Speak for yourself.
I've heard you. You're brutal.
Okay, Rick Lang going after the pair. 1, not the second. Oh, just squeezes it by his own. Almost lost that one at the back.
Just a little thinner would have been perfect. He would have rolled on top and frozen to the face of the.
Look at that.
The shot stone, the U.S. stone.
U.S. is still shot. Canada with second stone on the front. Well, we talked at one point about how Denmark was way up on England. Now the English have stolen successive singles on the 7th and the 8th ends. That's now a tight 8-7 game. Meanwhile, Norway has picked up 1 on the 8th, stolen 1 on the 9th. They're into a tight 5-4 game. What a wind-up we're having here.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Doug, but I don't think Denmark has ever qualified in the Silver Broom, have they?
They have never qualified for the playoffs.
That's what I'm talking about, right? Great shot.
Runs the double, is Tim Wright. Billy Howitt must be sitting there with a bit of a lump in his throat. He's cheering for either England or Switzerland to come up with a victory. That's his only hope of getting into the tie-breaking round. The other hope, of course, is that Canada would defeat the United States. But at the moment, Canada trails 5-3.
But Switzerland's up 5-4 on Norway coming home, Doug, and they have last rock.
Those bottom teams want to see one of the leaders stumble. Any one leader, it doesn't matter who, as long as one of them stumbles, then they'd be into that tie-breaking situation.
Christian Sorum really, lost a little bit of his composure yesterday, had a tough day, and he's not in a good position right now. Here's Al's shot, looking for the double.
Gets one, but not two. Leaves the shot stone. Still biting the edge of the 4-foot. I believe that stone was the first one of the end, and it sat there the entire time, unmolested.
Well, there's no hesitation by Tim Wright. He just walked right up, he's going to take the out turn, and he'll take the edge of the stone, maybe a couple of inches of ice, and just run this off. If he hits it on the nose, he'll lie to, and he just doesn't want to come across the face and drive it onto his own. The end developed well for the Canadians. They had a good chance. Rick Lang needed to get a little bit more roll in behind that corner guard, but you have to give all the credit to where credit is due, and that's certainly, you know, to the American team. They've made every key shot. John Jayant made a super double.
Okay.
You can hear him. Okay, he says.
He gets it. Rolls over. Now Rick Lang with his final stone of the 8th end coming up. Here it is again. Rick Lang, Al Hackner with his final stone of the 8th end. And he and Rick Lang are down there discussing whether they can get a double, whether they just play the hit and take their one.
Well, I don't think they'll even consider the double, Douglas. I think it's just a matter of, you know, what kind of weight they're going to play here. He's going to play that tap back weight, or is he just going to draw? Just going to play down to it and push it over.
Forced to take his single point.
No question. He'll be happy to get a single point at this stage of the game.
You heard him say back ring weight to his sweepers, Pat Perot, Ian Tetley. Just wants to ease that shot rock back. Remember, on this turn coming to the home, it falls away.
Once they get to the center line, they move. They got to bring it hard, Douglas.
He doesn't want that to wreck on the front one. He's going to, but he gets the roll. Is it far enough or too far? They sweep it. He counts it, picks up the single point. You can just see that one, gives him 1 point. And the score after 8 ends of play is the USA 5, Canada 4. We'll be back after this message.
TSN is the Sports Network. No matter what your sport, TSN provides exciting variety and choice. Each week, the Sports Network features a great lineup of sports entertainment. No matter where your interest lies, TSN has programming just for you. And twice daily, 3 times on the weekend, there's a complete comprehensive news report with the latest information, scores, and updates on the TSN Sports Desk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, TSN is the Sports Network.
It was the United States that won the toss in this game against Canada, 9th round action. The 1985 Air Canada Silver Boom in Glasgow. They picked up a deuce on that first end of play, and they have held the margin ever since. The score now, playing in the 9th end, is 5-4 as Canada has put a front stone up and invited the Americans to hit it on the nose.
We may go back and talk just briefly about that last shot of Al Hackner's in the 8th end, Doug. It was an excellent call, and those are the little things that make the difference. An excellent call by Ricky Lang. The rock got to the center line. It started to move. He let it come. He wasn't going to get the shot stone. He let it come. He hit the second shot and rolled across the 4-foot, and it stayed. That's just a good call. It was the alternate. It's a lucky break on Canada's part. It looked momentarily like the USA had stolen a point, but Canada got its single point and stayed in the game. Had Tim Wright scored that point, this game would have been almost out of reach.
Yep.
But that's the kind of thing in curling, the adjustment, and you know, Ricky Lang was full credit for his call. He got the sweepers off it, and saw the alternative, plan B, so to speak, and ended up getting the single point. We'll see how that can make a huge difference and see what happens from this point in. Rick will try and steal the game. He's playing a rock out in front. This may slip a little too far into the house. This is not a good shot. It allows the U.S. to play in the circles. You're looking for that shot out in front. You can see Pat Pro's, disgust with himself. He shook his head. He's not happy at all. It slipped into the rings, allowing Tim Wright to play in the circles. That shot had to be in front. You have to steal to get yourself back in this contest. Here's the movement now. They come off the center line a little bit. Looks like a roll to the edges. Maybe a touch too far.
Out of the ring.
That's a break for Canada, Doug, because it
Sure
allows Al to go back up into the front.
Okay, let's have a look in the remainder of the games that have been going on. Game over. Scotland has defeated Italy, wound up with a record of 5-4. The Italians are 4-5. In the game between Sweden and Germany, Germany picked up a deuce on the 8th. It is now a 7-5 advantage for Sweden. They are playing in the 9th inning. The winner of this game has a chance to go into the tiebreak. So big game between Germany and Sweden. 8-7 is the score for Denmark over England, in spite of the fact that Denmark got off to a fast start with a 5 in the first and 2 in the second. They want to win this one to be in the playoffs. And in the remaining game that is being played, the one between Norway and Switzerland, you can see the scoreboard there perfectly. Switzerland getting their deuce in the 5th end, and that's the margin that they have over the Norwegian Christian Sørum at 5-4. Switzerland is out of it. They'll finish in 9th place, but they need that win over Norway to try and finish in a tie for 9th place. There could be tiebreakers there as well to determine who would be open to challenge next year. So it's a vital game for Switzerland to try and defeat Norway. Meanwhile, the game between the USA and Canada has produced the nose hit that Al Hackner was looking for.
You know, it's really a funny situation. You're looking for a nose hit, but you actually hope that you'd hit that on the nose and maybe roll a foot further so you can get a little bit off that center line, because we know how difficult it is to get in behind the stone that sits right on the center line. You move the stone over 1 foot. Now you've got some action in the throwing stone and the moving stone, and you can hide them.
But remember, the outturn going this way has got the action. You can bury with the outturn. You can't bury with the inturn.
A little bit more movement, that's true, Doug, but it's still easier to come off the center line as opposed to try and climb it all the way down.
Here's Ian Tetley, who is currently shooting at 91% with his outturn draw, and this is the shot that Al Hackner has asked him to make. Here it starts to come. Now they put the brushes to it. Well by the guard, up into the blue, up almost to the button, just inside the 4 foot.
Good stone.
Excellent shot by Ian Tetley. Did not come over as much as he wanted.
Well, it's
there.
It just won't come, Doug. I mean, it just doesn't come until it gets to that center line. It really is a good shot. It's the best he could do.
Look out. Look out. Little click here. Splits off the front stone.
It's a good shot. But, you know, it's a good shot by Jimmy. You want, if you're going to miss it, you can't miss it wide. You got to get that front one off. That's for sure.
You got to hit something out there. But it does give Al Hackner the opportunity to put up the perfect guard.
That's right. Exactly.
That cheer for Marcus Panzig as he comes down to shake hands with the Norwegians. His last shot was good. Switzerland has defeated Norway by a score of 6-4, and that will put them into a 3-way tie for 7th position. We'll have tiebreakers required there for sure.
We're going to be here all day.
I hope you brought a box lunch.
Well, Christian just hasn't been sharp. He earlier in the week he looked very, very strong. They've been fighting it. It happens to all the good curlers. It's been a great game against Canada. He curled 87% and lost the game, but he just hasn't been sharp. Sørum just hasn't been sharp the last couple of games, and as a result, he's put this whole tournament into the situation where we're going to have tiebreakers for sure.
Well, that's a guard.
That's a good guard, too.
forces him to throw it with the in turn, and it's that in turn that just does not want to come. We'll see how John Jahant manages.
Hurry! See it go back a little. Now it comes to the center line. It starts to come to the very finish, right at the end now. It's a good shot.
Good shot by Jahant. Tell you, he must be shooting pretty well. Let's take a look at his stats before this shot. Playing on the in-turn hit, he was at 90% overall. He's 77%. Well, we see why he is shooting so well with that shot.
Well, they've played very well today. Their overall average on the week was 66%, and it's certainly well above that today. So they've
at the moment, their overall team percentage is 80%. Canadians at 68%.
In this game, that's right, Doug.
You mentioned at the beginning when you were talking about the stats that while the front end of Canada has outshot every other front end here, stats are for losers.
This rock just won't come. It just won't come, Doug. Once you get out there, it won't come. You can see that it just hung out there.
Ricky Lang puts it right up to the button. Perfect weight.
Absolutely.
Wide open.
Perfect weight is correct.
I'll tell you, if he ever gets the hit and the roll behind the cover, that will be, that's like hiding it.
Hurry! Hurry!
He turned it over a little bit because it got to the center line very quickly. You can see what's happened, Doug.
Click.
You know, that's really a good point. That's where this ice is non-forgiving. It's the kind of... Yes, if you throw it straight, we know it runs down there, but you could see the stone was on the center line halfway down the sheet, so he obviously rolled it and got it turned over.
Another break for Canada. John Jahant just rolls that inside slightly, clicks on the guard, and Al Hackner will try to put that guard back up. I'll tell you where Ricky Lang's stone is. There is no way you can outdraw that.
No, you'd have to drop it from the top if you got it guarded perfectly.
Well, that might be a job for the Pigeon Patrol here in Kelvin Hall. Pigeons made the front page of the Glasgow paper. As a matter of fact, there was talk, which has not materialized. There was talk that the Animal Protection League might come and take some action here in this 9th round.
That's why I like my position up here, Doug. Up with the pigeons.
Hey, listen, you're up here. You could be vulnerable. Al Hackner.
A lot of sadness here in Scotland with that 1-0 victory for Wales over them in soccer.
Oh.
Whoa. You didn't dare mention it to anybody.
Wales had not won in Scotland for 15 years or something like that. Now look at this as he got it over, and it is...
Oh, yes, yes.
Oh, this is going to be a dandy shot. Look at that guard. Hackner comes down and says, your move, Mr. Wright.
That's called a guard. A very good guard.
This thing you get outside, it hangs out there.
You bet it does,
straight
Tim.
at the end. Just enough tapping through it. To play it tight, if we split it, that's fine. And throw another guard.
Well, you heard him. He says he doesn't mind ticking that front one, because then Hackner would have to throw it up again. What he would like, of course, is to get by, squeeze by the guard, and just ease the shot rock back.
Move the guard, that's fine.
It's interesting, you know, the official scorekeeper, John Allardyce, only gave him a degree of difficulty of 1 on that, and then only awarded him 3 points, award of 3 points for it, which means he feels it's just a little too long, wanted a little tighter. Now, those are the kind of things the scorekeeper can judge on himself. With the degree of difficulty built into the computer, it actually does give him 3.3, Doug.
That will show in his overall percentage.
It's a good shot. It's a great shot, actually.
Sure is. Give him full marks. There is the handshakes for the game between England and Denmark, which Denmark has won. They started with a 5 on the first end. They collected a 5 on the 9th end. You don't need many in between, but they got 3 in between. They wind up with a score of 13. England winds up with a score of 7. So England their first time into the Silver Broom, unable to pick up a victory in 9 attempts. They were outclassed throughout. Denmark has come up now with a 6-3 verdict, 6-3 standing, which puts them right up on top. And depending on this game, Canada could be 6-3, and the United States also 6-3.
Well, I guess in fairness to John Allardyce, he knew what he was doing when he scored that shot, because they left the out turn open, and as we saw, Tim Wright made a great shot, but he could get to it. Obviously, if the guard of Al Hackner's had just curled a little bit more and left only the in turn, you couldn't have got to it, and it was just a touch too long. Al's decided, as opposed to going after the shot, the U.S. shot that stayed in the back of the 12-foot, I'm going to try and get one in behind. We saw a little movement with that quiet takeout of Tim Wright. So if Al gets the right weight here and gets some action, he can get it buried again.
Key shot for Al Hackner, his last stone of the 9th end. They come off it. There's lots of room.
It'll come at the end, but will it come enough, Doug?
Now they put the brushes to it.
They may have left it too long.
They may have left it. Well, I don't know. It's in there. He's coming up to the, just right up to the button. He's right on the tee line, but it is open, much more so than the earlier one. So Tim Wright now looking. We are going to be into tiebreakers no matter what happens in this particular game. The fact that Switzerland defeated Norway means that there can be no more than a 3-way tie for first place, and that one would be between Canada and the U.S. should the U.S. defeat Canada in this game. Then the two of them would be tied with Denmark for first place. Norway would be tied at that point with Scotland, and the winner of the Sweden-Germany game for fourth place.
Big hit here. It's 2 points if you can hit this in the stick.
A lot of work. Better work.
It's got to work, he says. We got it outside a little bit, I guess. It's pretty good to me. 2 points.
2 points to the Americans after the 9th end of play. Lifts them into a 7-4 lead over Canada. With 1 end remaining, we'll be right back.
When you're as married to your career as Debbie and Daryl, the last thing you do is say,
I do.
From Neil Simon comes a comedy for everyone married to a career, as well as each other. The Slugger's Wife.
Now playing at a theater near you. Check your local listings.
Our Chrysler Magic Wagon is a real hit with Christy and me.
Tell them about the front-wheel drive, Dad.
Front-wheel drive makes for more room inside, and it gets you there on just a little gas.
Tell them how to drive.
Just like a compact car.
Don't forget the guarantee, Dad.
5 years or 80,000 kilometers. Sometimes I wonder what I'm doing here.
Somebody gotta hit the ball, Dad.
Oh, okay.
Dodge Caravan and Plymouth Voyager, the Magic Wagons from Chrysler.
2 games remain on the ice at the Kelvin Hall in Glasgow, the 9th round of action, 1985 World Curling Championship. Canada against the United States. Canada trailing by 3 as they come into this 10th end. The other key game between Germany and Switzerland. That is a 9-5 score for Switzerland after 9. It looks as if Sweden, I should say. It looks as if Sweden will be into the tie-breaking round. And if all goes according to the plans of Tim Wright, the United States will be tied with Canada and with Denmark for top spot in the standings after the completion of the 9 rounds. Those 3 teams will be assured of playoff positions. And then it'll be up to 3 other teams to fight it out at 5 and 4 for the 4th and final playoff spot. We got the miss. Well,
going back just briefly, Doug, to the last end, it was really Tim Wright's shot, first shot, when he picked out the guard, the rock that Al Hackner had pretty well guarded, and then not only did he get it out of there, he was able to, the shooter hung on and the back of the 12-foot, and that's where the extra point came and allowed the USA to score 2 points. And really have a good lead, a good commanding lead, 7-4 lead coming home. Al's got an early miss on a corner guard, so it gives him a chance to possibly get something going, and he'll put one more corner guard up on the other side of the sheet. Tap rows, out turn. They don't miss too many of these. He'll want this halfway between the house and the hog line. He needs to get something going for him. He needs those 3 points to tie it up. It's a big task, but we've seen it happen. We saw it happen last night in the Norway-Scotland game. Scotland was able to get 3, tie it up, and stole it on the extra end. Tim Wright will walk right up as he's done, and he'll try and run this off, split it off. The Americans have played very, very well. They really have. They weren't known too well when they came in, but they've been fairly consistent all week. There's another nose hit. Al's got what he needs now. He's got the opportunity to get around, to get something buried. He'll duck it in now. Here's the call. You'll play Ian Tetley's in-turn draw in behind the long corner guard. We're early in the end. Ian Tetley's first stone. Ian curling at overall 83%, so chances of making this are excellent. Remember, the viewers should remember now, as it gets to the side, it starts to dig in and curl just as it comes off the center line. It's got the weight. The weight looks good. It just wants some movement now. Should come late. Just biting the edge of the 12-foot. We'll get a look at it now. It's fully buried. Good-looking shot. Couldn't ask to have the situation set up better for you. Got the 2 long corner guards. Get it by. No. I think you'll find Al go in behind the second corner guard now. Needs 3 points to tie it up. There's the call. Once again, the brush is being placed on the center line, so you do get some movement. It's when you go outside that center line they hold on you. Out turn draw. Movements right now.
Well past the guard.
Moves late, though. It'll come at the end. Take it well back.
2 stones, well split.
And buried, I think, too, Doug. I think he got that buried. Oh, Doug. Just ticked it.
Oh, hey, we could have extra end here.
And not only that, Doug, you can see where it's he pushed it to. He pushed it in behind the long corner guard. So you can see Al's initial call, and quickly he's going to go in behind the corner guard to the top of the 12-foot. This is the kind of shot that you don't want to make a mistake on. You don't want to be deep. Even short, Al's indicated, even short of the rings is fine. You can see it again. He just ticks it across. Puts it in probably the worst possible spot you could. It's a good opportunity for Canada. They got the long corner guard. They now are in a position to come around it to the top of the 12-foot, the top of the 8-foot to lie 3.
You have to be by that guard, though.
Do you know why that happened? I've been sitting here trying to work out the combinations. As you said before, you wait till the last stone. Well, I'm not waiting. I had it all figured out that the USA was going to beat Canada. Now Canada has the opportunity to get back and tie this game.
There's no question. A good opportunity, Doug. They're in good position here. This is Al, in calling this shot, he indicated very clearly, it's okay, Rick, if you're short. He walked up, as a matter of fact, and said, short is fine. And exactly right. Short is perfect.
Look at that. Just up, and that's probably just barely biting.
You know, Doug, they'll guard this situation until they get right down to Al's stone, and you know, they'd be very satisfied to take their 3 points and get into that extra end and take a shot at it.
Second rocket.
Sweden defeated Germany 9-5. Keith Wendorf just never got it going this week. He just didn't. He's a good shooter, just couldn't get it going. Run the front one off. Rick scoots down. He'd be happy with the same shot. You can see the indication from Al. There's the long guard. Shot rock and second shot rock. 2 Canadian stones directly in behind the long guard. Same position would be perfect.
Up! Hooray!
They jumped on this one. You don't want to touch that guard.
Come on, hard! Hooray!
Oh, the one thing you didn't want to do was to touch that guard. They just haven't been sharp. Rick either put it a little inside or it curled immediately. They jumped on it immediately. It's a good opportunity. You get that around the guard at the top of the 12-foot. You're certainly in a strong position to tie the game up. I'm sure Rick feels sick about that. It's amazing how one stone like that can just change its end right around, change its end right around. It just touched the front rock, and the Americans now have an excellent chance to get out of this situation. Good-looking rock. There's the double.
He cleans him up. And it's shake hands time as the Americans have defeated the Canadians. Tim Wright showing that he can do it. 7-4, the final score for his U.S. side from Wilmette, Illinois. Puts him into a first-place lead along with Canada and with Denmark, each of them at records of 6-3. Well, now here's the situation as we look down the standings. You have Sweden defeating Germany by a score of 9-5. They have just come off the ice, so they have now qualified for the tiebreakers. In fact, we have to have tiebreakers to determine the 4th place team in the playoff situation, and another set of tiebreakers to determine the 9th place team, because it will be the 9th place team that is up for the challenge next year. The other scores: Switzerland defeated Norway 6-4. That put them into a tiebreak and put Norway into a tiebreak. Denmark 5s on the 1st and the 9th end to record a 13-7 victory over England, who wound up without a win in the entire week. Germany and Sweden have just walked off the ice. Sweden a 9-5 winner over the Germans, and both of them are into tiebreak situations. And finally, Scotland over Italy, 10-3 for the Scots. They got off early with a big 4 on the 8th end that gave them that 10-3 victory. We'll be right back after this message.
Why is everyone having so much fun in the Nissan Micra? Maybe it's Micra's major fuel economy with 5 speeds or automatic. Maybe it's Micra's major headroom and visibility. Or maybe it's that Micra is major motion at a minor price. Micra, the most affordable Nissan. Major motion from Nissan.
Now you can take a Macintosh business computer to your business for a free test drive. It'll blow your mind.
Denmark plays the winner of the tiebreakers. They beat both us and the States.
David?
The 1985 Air Canada Silver Broom. And so the final standings after the 9 rounds of play in the 1985 Air Canada Silver Broom show a 3-way tie for top spot. Canada, the USA, and Denmark, each with records of 6 wins and 3 losses. Norway, Scotland, and Sweden are deadlocked for 4th place at 5 and 4 records. And in the tie-breaking round between the Norwegians, Scots, and Swedes, a draw was made prior to the game. Sweden won the bye and will then play the winner of the game between Norway and Scotland. The other tie-breaking round will take place between Germany, Italy, and Switzerland, who are deadlocked for 7th place with records of 4 wins and 5 losses. England at the bottom, winless in all 9 of their games. The draw will be made to determine who will have the bye between Germany, Italy, and Switzerland in that tie-breaking round. And the reason that is required is that there are now 2 positions in the Silver Broom that are open to challenge from the non-competing nations, the non-participating nations. So whoever loses in that situation winds up in 9th place would be open to challenge. So we could have tie-breaking rounds of at least 2 games required between Germany, Italy, and Switzerland. Once again, the scores that we had in this 9th round: the United States came up, won the toss, picked up a deuce on the opening end, held that advantage throughout the game, and then finally with that excellent hit on the 10th end, removing the Canadian pressure, gave Tim Wright a 7-4 victory over Al Hackner's Canadians. Switzerland's Marcus Kanzig, who had been a bit of a disappointment earlier in the week, still has life in him. He downed Christian Surum 6-4, and that gives him a measure of satisfaction. Denmark's Franz Guffler 13-7 over Bob Martin of England. England had a rough ride here in their first Silver Broom. Sweden defeated Germany 9-5, and it was Scotland over Italy, a bit of a runaway 10-3 in that game. Well, we're hoping that down below we're able to get Al Hackner and Ray Turnbull. Here they are.
Al, the Americans were certainly full marks for their victory, but just briefly I'd like to talk about a couple of shots. Obviously the shot that you had in the 6th end for 4.
I took the broom to him. I think the broom was in the right place. I just got the rock moving all the way, and we were lucky to save anything out of that one. I just turned it in, and it curled solid all the way.
It's the kind of ice where if you do cheat a little bit and then turn them over, they really go on you.
Yeah, that's true. Any rock that is dumped or turned in towards the broom really takes off. It exaggerates your miss far more than what it really is.
Exactly. And just briefly, going back to the 10th end, you had a good chance. You got the 2 corner guards and the 2 misses, and you got the 2 buried in behind it. And Rick's first shot seemed to act okay, and the second one just curled on you.
Well, I think his first one, he must have done something to it that made it run so straight, and we couldn't really bury it. The second one, I pinched his ice in a bit, and he threw it good. It just curled solid all the way. I think we probably got fooled on that first one. We should have taken the same ice we had with the first one. We might have been all right.
Al, I think you'll get a chance to play the American team again. Looks like you'll play them in the semifinal tomorrow night, so we wish you all the very best of luck.
Thank you.
We'll take this commercial break and be back with Doug.
At Century 21 offices, we know the signs of a good neighborhood, one you can feel at home in. Ours is a big neighborhood. Over 3,000 Century 21 neighborhood professionals in more than 300 offices coast to coast are proud to wear the gold jackets. We can help you buy or sell your home across town or across Canada. We're Canada's largest real estate network. At Century 21 offices, we know the signs of a good neighborhood.
Kick off the weekend with TSN and our great Friday night lineup. At 6:30, Tennis Magazine. 7 o'clock, Sports Desk, followed by Inside the PGA Tour. At 8, it's an hour for horse racing fans. Then at 9, live from Memphis, the Tampa Bay Bandits take on the Showboats on our Friday night USFL game, followed by Sports Desk. And there's more great sports all night long on TSN, where the Blue Jays meet Los Angeles Saturday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern.
When the bell rings, TSN invites you to be at ringside for 2.5 hours of live boxing action on Top Rank. Each week features new hopefuls as well as more established fighters as they meet head-to-head in tough, bone-jarring bouts. Top Rank Boxing live at 9 p.m. Eastern. Thursday night is Fight Night on the Sports Network.
TSN has a runaway hit with sports fans on All-Star Soccer. Dale Barnes is your host as each week's broadcast pits the best of the English League in top-class game action. Every Wednesday evening at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, join us for 2 hours of non-stop football excitement on TSN's All-Star Soccer.
Well, you might say that there's a little bit of confusion here. That would not be exactly correct, but there is consternation. Here's what has happened. Canada, Denmark, and the United States, no problem there. They have clinched a tie for first place. All three of them will be in the playoffs, into the semifinals, which will take place tomorrow afternoon. However, there is a three-way tie for fourth place between Norway, Scotland, and Sweden. Chuck Hay, who is the chief umpire, is right here with me. A draw was made earlier before the games began, Chuck, in which Sweden won the bye. However, Scotland is protesting that that draw was not made. With all of the skips present, it was done singly, singly, singly. So now we're going to have to make a decision and decide whether Sweden does have the bye or whether they will redraw for the bye. There certainly will be a playoff game to determine who that fourth place team is.
Well, I think the draw was done perfectly fairly this morning. There was always another team witnessing the incident when the draw was made. When Scotland were second last to draw, the two draws got made was first spot or last spot. They had a 50% chance, they had the best chance of all the teams to make the first spot. They chose the wrong one and finished up last. And Sweden had no choice and they finished up first.
So it looks as if then it will be Sweden that has the bye. Norway will play Scotland. The winner will then go on to play Sweden. The winner will then be given fourth place, and that will be the fourth team that will then have to go into the tie-breaking or into the playoff round. It's been a dramatic final finale to the World Championship of 1985. Chuck, when you go back to 1968, the finale there, you were in that first one. Did you ever think that we were going to have this kind of activity, this kind of action, some 18 years later?
You know, it's all changed since then, Doug, but there was lots of action then, but I think it's all changed now, and people get a little uptight when a draw is made, but how can you make a draw any more fair than we've done this morning?
Well, there it looks as if that'll be the answer when we meet later, and in just a few moments with the teams that are contesting this particular tie-breaking action. We also have tie-breaking rounds required, and that will be a little bit different because when you get down to determine who is the ninth place team, you're looking for the worst of those three teams. So you're going to have a couple of rounds there to eliminate one team and put them into ninth place, and then they are open to challenge. Explain how the challenge works.
Well, the last two teams can be challenged by those who are not already in the Silver Broom Championship. And it looks like Switzerland, Germany, and Italy have got to make a draw just right now. And then the playoffs take place at 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock. And the 9th and 10th teams will then be challenged by Wales, England, Holland, Austria, France, and whoever else wants to challenge.
Well, there you have it. Certainly one of those challenge spots is determined. England went 0-9. A little surprised. I thought the English might have picked up 1 or 2 wins. They had looked very good at the European Championships, but this is their first time into the Big Apple.
Yeah, this is a different ball game. This has got a different atmosphere. The Europeans more of a sort of club curling contest, and here they came along, and this is the first time they've ever been here. I'm sure they've learned a lot, but they just didn't quite make it.
I think we have to give some high marks to the Denmark team, the Danish team of Franz Guffler. They wind up in that tie with Canada and the United States. They certainly look very good.
They're a very strong team, but then you've got to look at what Guffler's done recently. He's been at 2 Europeans, and not only that, he's travelled over to Scotland to get in the top curling competitions here, and he's been to Europe. They're making a real determined effort to improve their curling, and by golly, this week they've done that in a terrific way. They're playing really well.
Done it in spades as Denmark ties with Canada, the United States in top position. A playoff between Norway, Scotland, and Sweden to determine the fourth place into the playoffs. Hope you've enjoyed this TSN coverage of the 1985 Air Canada Silver Broom coming your way from the Kelvin Hall in Glasgow. So for Ray Turnbull and Chuck Hay, this is Doug Maxwell. So long from Glasgow.
Out of the darkness, there's a light. Let it shine on through.
Till tomorrow brings the dawn in this magic view.
There will never be another night that seems so right. And blue smiles along.
Taste keeps coming through.
Blue smiles along.
Taste keeps coming
yes,
through.
blue smiles along with you.
To duel with the desert, you'd better be tough as iron. That's why off-road racing champ Ivan Ironman Stewart teamed up with Toyota trucks. Toyota trucks are built with rugged body on full-frame construction to tackle the biggest payloads. Offer electronic fuel injection for power that just won't quit. For two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, work or sport, Toyota builds the trucks that hang tough. The solid choice.
Back here because we do want to say goodbye to the entire series, even though this is the last game of our TSN coverage that has spanned about 5 or 6 weeks. Ray Turnbull, you've covered them all. You started off with the Canadian mixed at the Bayview. You were down to Newfoundland. Hey, you've really become a world traveler.
I have, Doug, and I'd like to just to say a few words about that. I really enjoyed doing this, and it was my first exposure. I hope our viewers got a little bit from my input, and I'd like to thank a number of people, of course, Don Chevy, John Badham, the people I worked with, Tom McKee, Rick Briggs-Jude, Ed Murcell, the people that really helped me through my first overall exposure to doing this kind of thing, and of course yourself. It's been a fabulous experience for me, and I hope I get the opportunity to do it again.
Well, I'll tell you this, Ray, we've enjoyed your expertise. The chance that you have of traveling all over the world has given you that chance of seeing curlers from all over the world. You know these curlers as friends, not only as competitors. So there's been a great input from that standpoint, and I know that this sounds like the Mutual Admiration Society, but you have done a great job for TSN, and we hope that our viewers out there have appreciated the TSN coverage that has come their way throughout this curling season of the round-robin games. It's an opportunity for you to see curling at its best in all of its different guises, mixed, junior, top level at the Briar, and of course here at the World Championship, the Air Canada Silver Broom in Glasgow, Scotland. It's been at the Kelvin Hall. We've had a great time. You'll be able to watch the semifinals and the finals live on CBC, so we hope that you'll stay tuned for that. Next year, come back with us on TSN in our regular curling coverage. So now for real, Doug Maxwell for Ray Turnbull, saying so long from the Kelvin Hall in Glasgow, Scotland.